Hi, welcome to my channel. The full version of the audiobook is available on my Patreon. You can quickly find it through the link in my profile description. Thank you for your support.
Chapter 1: The Scoundrels of Utrecht's Second Team. On July 18, 2015, Utrecht 2, a Dutch second division team, played a preseason friendly against Go Ahead Eagles. The new season of the Dutch Eerste Divisie is about to begin in 20 days, and both teams have two purposes for organizing this warm-up match. 1. Help the team's players find their match fitness. 2. Determine the starting lineup for the new season. Tang, do you think we have a chance to play today? Zaka, who was on the bench, looked worried. He had just been promoted from the U17 team and was unaware of Coach Milan's substitution habits. They should be able to play in the warm-up matches, right? Tang Yi, standing to the side, replied, but it doesn't matter, if we can't go, we can't go. Huh? Tang, you were in the reserve team last season. Did you play any games in the league? Yes, I have. Tang Yi twisted his head and stretched his muscles, then held up 5 fingers. Played 5 games. Zaka's eyes lit up. Tang Yi was only 15 years old last season, and a 15-year-old player made 5 appearances in the Dutch second division. From this perspective, it seems like I can get quite a few opportunities. It's 5 minutes. Tang Yi corrected him, only to see him leaning back in the bench chair, his hand supporting the back of his head, looking quite content, which made Zaka next to him exclaim in amazement. Dude, you started giving up at 16. What about me, who's 17? At the same time, a certain Happy Beans website in China. Good evening, guys. This live stream source isn't very clear. Wait a moment, I'll find a new one. The host, Wang Chao, was fiddling with something backstage. After about half a second, the live stream suddenly froze for a moment, but the reloaded video was indeed much clearer. The competition had already begun. Wang Chao calmly dragged a line of numbers to the upper right corner of the screen. This was a QQ group he had created. Brothers in the live stream, you can join the streamer's fan group. There are daily recommendations for winning bets and guaranteed payout bets in the group. Also, if you don't have a betting website or want a better betting website, you can contact the streamer via private message. After Wang Chao finished his classic opening remarks, 4 minutes had already passed in the match. Yes, my personal recommendation for this match is to bet on the score, either 0-2 or 0-3. 0:3, does the commentator think so highly of Go Ahead Eagles? I feel like Go Ahead Eagles aren't much stronger than Utrecht 2. Even though they're the second team, Utrecht is still a powerhouse. Let's be conservative and bet on Go Forward Eagles to win outright. The score is too unpredictable. When I first entered this circle, I had 2 brothers betting on it, but now they're both gone. Charge, Eagle. Go. 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 I heard there's a Chinese player on the Utrecht second team. Looking forward to hearing from them. You mean Tang Yi? He can't play. I watched the entire Dutch second division last season, and he spent all 38 games on the bench. This is purely a hater's post. Tang Yi clearly played for 5 minutes, and even touched the ball once. Although it's the Dutch Eerste Divisie, which doesn't have much buzz, the Happy Bean livestream was quite lively today because there's a Chinese player in Utrecht 2, one of the few players currently playing abroad. Many Chinese football fans have heard of Tang Yi. Of course, this doesn't mean that this guy is so awesome, but rather that he's just a complete slacker. Last summer, Tang Yi scored a spectacular long-range shot in an U17 International Invitational Tournament, helping Shandong Taishan U17 secure a draw against Ajax U17. It was because of that match that Tang Yi was scouted by Utrecht and brought to the Netherlands, where he currently plays for Utrecht 2. The scouts in Utrecht thought they had found a prodigy, but it turned out he was actually a lazy bum. Malenti has coached the reserve team for 12 years, and Tang Yi is the first player he has ever seen run away midway through a training match. Melent, standing in front of the bench, noticed Zaka chatting with Tang Yi, so he called out, Isaac, you can start warming up now. Melent didn't know why Zaka was chatting with Tang Yi. That wretched Chinese brat, don't you dare corrupt my genius. When Zaka's name was called, he stood up, put on his yellow training vest, and Tang Yi next to him gave him a thumbs up, go for it. Thanks. Zaka put on his vest and prepared to go on the field. He had a good relationship with Tang Yi and really wanted to say a few words to Mr. Mellant on Tang Ye's behalf, but after thinking about it, he decided against it. If Mr. Mellant knew that he had become friends with Tang Yi, he would definitely be furious. The match continued, with Go-Ahead Eagles pressing in the attacking third, suffocating the Utrecht 2 players. The inability to hold onto the ball in midfield has been a problem for Utrecht 2 since the beginning of last season. And the answer to this problem? Mellant glanced again at Tang Yi sitting on the bench. The scout had brought Tang Yi to the reserve team precisely to solve this problem. Given the severe homogenization of youth training, Tang Yi is the only ball-controlling midfielder in Utrecht 2. Damn it! The thought of Tang Yemerant made him furious, and he finally shook his head. Focus on command. At the scene, the organizers knew that many Chinese fans were watching the game, so they deliberately focused the camera on Tang Yi, who was sitting on the bench, during dead ball situations. At this moment, Tang Yi squinted his eyes, his head bobbing up and down like a chicken pecking at rice. He's almost asleep. Oh shit. Fans who came to watch the game specifically for Tang Yi started hurling insults at him in the live stream. Tang Yi. When Wang Chao saw Tang Yi dozing off on camera, his expression suddenly turned somewhat disappointed. Actually, Tang Yi does have talent, but he just doesn't work hard enough. As soon as Wang Chao finished speaking, Go-Ahead Eagles got a chance on the wing. After the winger crossed the ball, they broke through the goal of Utrecht 2. The players on the bench cried out in despair. Hearing the noise, Tang Yi opened his eyes. Although his team was behind, he didn't feel it at all. Tang Yi knew the level of Utrecht 2, and he also knew that there was no future in playing there. Since effort is useless, you might as well just relax and accept things as they are. When winning or losing is no longer relevant to you, invincibility is not far away. And Tang Yi was that invincible person. Just then, a line of small characters appeared before Tang Ye's eyes. Because of your tendency to give up from a young age, you squandered your innate football talent. 7 years spent playing in Europe, with a total of only 5 minutes of playing time in official matches. At 22, having already wasted your talent, you arrived in the Chinese Super League, relying on your status as a former overseas player to show off wildly. In 2036, at 37, you've been forced to retire in the Chinese League One after a humiliating defeat and become a football commentator, finding endless pleasure in smearing star players. Watching talented youngsters showcase their abilities in the top 5 European leagues on television, you suddenly feel a pang of regret, lamenting that time cannot be turned back. You looked down at your body, regretted not having fully realized your potential as a player, and decided to retire and make a comeback. Appear in a warm-up match, reward, random midfielder skill. Chapter 2, The Curve of the Outer Instep. What is that? Tang Yi frowned. 37 years old. Retirement and humiliation. Nonsense, he's only 16 years old. If nothing unexpected happens, this must be someone who bought the wrong account for cheating, but Tang Yi simply chose to ignore it. Without a system, you'll just languish. With a system, you can become stronger, but you'll still have to languish. It's impossible to work hard, it's impossible to work hard in this lifetime. Beep. In the 72nd minute, Go-Ahead Eagles winger committed an attacking foul, stepping on Milner's ankle. Fuck. Mellant yelled, what the hell is this? It's a red card, a red card. The referee showed a yellow card to the Go-Ahead Eagles player who committed the foul, and the team doctor rushed onto the field to treat Milner. Mellant received bad news, Milner could no longer continue the game. In the 74th minute of the match, the team's key midfielder was unable to continue playing. Mellant covered his face with his hands and looked towards the team substitutes bench. Faranas, you. Just as Mellant was about to bring Faranas onto the field from the bench, the assistant coach came over and whispered in Melant's ear, this is a warm-up match. You can let that Chinese kid play. It will help our ratings. You mean Tang? No, that's impossible. Our opponent is the Forward Eagles, how can we let him play? Mellant despises players who don't work hard, and he would never let Tang Yi play. This is management's decision. The assistant coach whispered, we're going to sell jerseys. Having Chinese players play in the match, even though it was a warm-up game, greatly helped Utrecht sell jerseys. Moreover, Thanks to Tang Ye's presence, Utrecht 2 will gain a lot of Chinese fans. Damn it. Melent yelled and turned to Tang Ye on the bench. Tang, you're in. Me? Tang Ye opened his eyes. There were only about 10 minutes left in the game. Taking an extra shower just to play for 10 minutes wasn't worth it, so Tang Ye wasn't keen on going on the field. Sir, I haven't warmed up yet. Stop talking nonsense, you'll get hot while you're playing. Melent didn't expect Tang Ye to actually do anything after going up, he just wanted the guy to finish the remaining 10 or so points. Okay. Tang Ye tightened his shoelaces and slowly walked to the edge of the field. At 37, you, with lofty ambitions, once again stand on the competition field. An old steed in its stall still aspires to gallop 1,000 miles, your reward is being claimed. You have obtained, Modric's mesmerizing outside of the foot shot, right foot. Modric's outside of the foot? Tang Ye's eyes lit up. I thought he would get some ancient stars skills, but unexpectedly a Modric outside of the foot template appeared. Etc. Tang Ye suddenly thought of something. The system is set to 2036, so Modric is indeed a retired athlete in a strict sense. That's awesome, it's definitely the system. In the shot, Tang Ye, wearing jersey number 99, stands at the edge of the court. Holy crap, who said Tang Ye had no chance to play? Here it is. Awesome. Great. Those 70+ minutes were definitely worth it. Those who bet on a draw or Utrecht to win alone will lose money. Utrecht hasn't won a single game since Tang Ye played. That's not fair. Including the warm-up matches, Tang Ye has only played 3 games in Utrecht. This is his 4th. A 100% loss rate in 3 games, wouldn't you say that's a bad sign? Damn, I'm betting on a draw right away, just to support Tang Ye. After Tang Ye entered the game, the number of online viewers in the Huanoldu live stream suddenly increased. This was because an app called Donquidi pinned a news item to the top of the screen after Tang Ye entered the game. 16-year-old troublemaker makes his 4th substitute appearance, come and watch. Tang Ye had just finished high-fiving Milner and stepped onto the court, unaware that so many people were watching him. The game continued, and Utrecht 2's goalkeeper Bednarik took a free kick from the backfield. The two teams began to fight for possession of the ball in Go Ahead Eagles' half. Taking advantage of their height, Go Ahead Eagles won the first penalty, and Melent quickly called on the players on the field to press them. Go up, just go straight up. Utrecht's players are currently in the opponent's half, while Go Ahead Eagles have possession of the ball. This situation is very dangerous. If Utrecht fails to regain possession, Go Ahead Eagles will have a chance to launch a counterattack. Because Utrecht's defense is currently empty. Hearing the coach's urging, Tang Ye swayed and ran towards the player with the ball. This kind of slow, deliberate pressure is ineffective, the player with the ball can easily pass it out. Amrabat reacted quickly, rushing forward to block the ball with his shoulder and then kicking it away. Holy shit, Jesus. Melent breathed a sigh of relief, his heart had stopped beating when he saw the other team pass the ball to them. Fortunately, Amrabat came through. So. Beep beep beep. The match continued, and the more than 2,000 fans in the home team stands were very dissatisfied with Tang Ye's performance, booing loudly throughout the stadium. In the 85th minute since he came on in the 75th minute, a full 10 minutes, Tang Ye has only touched the ball twice, and both of those touches were only obtained by dropping back to receive the ball. One question on the minds of the home fans is, why did Utrecht spend €50,000 to bring this scoundrel to the Netherlands last summer? Karen, I told you, he can't do anything. Melent spread his hands to the assistant coach. I won't say anything about the warm-up games, but I will absolutely not let this guy play in the official games later. After Melent finished spraying, he noticed that Karen wasn't looking at him, but was pointing at the playing field. Melent turned his head and saw Tang Ye receive a pass from defender Trupp, turn around and dribble forward. Although he acts arrogantly while playing, this guy's ball control is actually quite good. He used a small movement to get rid of the defender who was pressing him, and then raised his head. What? Don't rush, let's control the ball first. Melent shouted, but Tang Ye ignored everything, swinging his right leg back and flicking out with the outside of his foot. Snap! A crisp sound of the ball striking the ground rang out, and the ball soared into the air, flying past the defender's ear before turning to the right. Snap! The ball passed the two away team center-backs, hit the ground, and continued to roll steadily to the right. At that moment, a player wearing a red and white jersey ran out. Xhaka. 1-on-1. Tang Yi delivered a powerful outside-of-the-foot shot into the attacking third for a one-on-one opportunity. Pass it to striker Xhaka. The ball is steady, Xhaka stretches his leg forward and controls the ball perfectly. A one-on-one chance, this is a perfect one-on-one opportunity. The goalkeeper is out. Xhaka, shoot. Goal. Goal. Xhaka's goal came from Tang Ye's outside-of-the-foot through ball. Xhaka was clearly the one who scored, but the director focused the camera on Tang Yi in the backfield. The outside of the foot curves to create a single-handed strike. Is this some kind of Dutch second division warm-up match? Chapter 3 I was just guessing. Woo! Utrecht scored a last-minute equalizer, and the stands suddenly erupted in excitement. Unlike Utrecht 2, a perennial second division team, Go Ahead Eagles frequently switch between the Eredivisie and the second division. Because of the difference in strength, no one expected Utrecht to draw before the match started. Jesus! Melent touched his bald head, the wrinkles on his forehead furrowing together. Teaching assistant Karen, standing to the side, shrugged, well, the boss's advice is always right. Why didn't he tell me he could do this too? Melent shrugged, indicating his confusion. According to his memory, Tang Yi shouldn't have this skill point. Melent didn't speak, but continued watching the field. Tang Yi, who had provided the assist, opened his arms to welcome his teammates' embrace. Holy crap, what is this? You're not a bro, are you? You can do this too. Wait a minute, wait a minute. Who said Tang Yi was a slacker? Step forward now. It's all because your father didn't buy a 1:1 bet. Isn't that outward instep a bit too exaggerated? Are you sure Tang Yi is only 16 years old? Now I finally understand why Utrecht paid 50,000 euros for that slacker. Tang Yi really is talented. Seeing Tang Yi deliver such a high-level pass, both the Happy Bean players in the live stream and the home team fans at the stadium were completely dumbfounded. No, if you have this level of skill, why did you sit on the bench for the entire last season? The game continued, and the director started giving Tang Yi more screen time, but Tang Yi didn't put on any significant performance. Beep, beep, beep. The referee blew the final whistle, and Utrecht 2, playing at home, defeated the formidable Go Ahead Eagles, winning their second preseason friendly of the season. Tang, what's this? Come on. Xhaka ran over and hugged Tang Yi tightly. Almost 10 minutes have passed since Tang Yi made that outside-of-the-foot pass, and Xhaka still can't believe it when he thinks back on it. The pass was so precise and delicate that Xhaka only needed to extend his foot slightly forward to create a one-on-one opportunity. You completed your first preseason game since your retirement and comeback. Reward, 15 comeback points. What's the turning point? Tang Yi frowned, somewhat confused by the sound he had suddenly heard, but he didn't have time to investigate it. Head coach Mr. Melent was walking towards him. Coach. Tang Yi said that he thought Melent wanted to hug him, but Melent walked directly past him and went to Xhaka. Well done, Isaac, thanks to your goal. Tang Yi shrugged. Melent's actions made him feel a little uncomfortable, but considering that he had been tanking all season, he could understand what Melent did. The truth is, no coach likes a player who keeps tanking. The team's locker room. Melent stood in the middle, summarizing the situation of today's warm-up match and praising the outstanding performances of several players, including Amrabat and Xhaka. Tang Yi did not receive praise from Melent, but after Melent praised all the players, he was taken away alone. Why? What is this? Tang, tell me what this is. What? Tang Yi didn't quite understand what Melent said. You can pass with the outside of your foot. You can make passes like that, you should have told me, why didn't you? Melent is very angry now. Because he felt that Tang Yi was acting against him. Last season, Utrecht 2 lacked a reliable midfielder. If Tang Yi had been able to deliver passes of that caliber back then, Melenti would have had no reason to bench him. After today's match, barring any unforeseen circumstances, many Utrecht fans will likely protest against Melent, because the team has such a talented player who has never been given a prominent role. Is this something Melent doesn't need? No, it's Tang Yi who's been acting all along. Sorry. Tang Yi was a little flustered after being yelled at by Melent. To be honest, because the ball was created with the help of the system, Tang Yi himself didn't know why he was able to hit such a beautiful outside kick. Tang Yi hesitated for a moment before finally speaking. That was a fluke. You're kidding me. Who the hell are you trying to fool? Melent stared into Tang Yi's eyes. As a seasoned coach, he knew very well which shots could be guessed and which couldn't. How could someone with Tang Yi's level of skill with the outside of his foot be a fluke? I'm not lying to you, believe me, sir. Tang Yi's expression was sincere, and Melent frowned. Are you sure? Of course, I'm sure. Melent didn't speak. Based on his understanding of Tang Yi, if it was a fluke, the goal would indeed be more reasonable. Tang Yi's incredible outside-of-the-foot pass leads Utrecht 2 to a last-minute equalizer against Go Ahead Eagles in a friendly match. The fallen genius finally awakens, creating a one-on-one opportunity in the warm-up match to realize his talent. After leaving the locker room and boarding the team bus back to the dormitory, Tang Yi stared at his newly displayed panel, lost in thought. Tang Yi, 37 years and 4 months old. Ball possession, 69, passing, 70. Shots, 44, headers, 38, set pieces, 55. Speed, 48, endurance, 55, physical strength, 40. Defense, 40, vision, 91. Overall rating, 58. After looking at this panel, Tang Yi finally understood why Melent had kept him on the bench all last season. Aside from his passing, which was enhanced by the template, Tang Yi only has 3 attributes that exceed 60 points, ball control, 69, passing, 70, and vision, 91. Speaking of his vision, Tang Yi discovered when he saw his scouting report that Utrecht scouts highly valued his vision talent, but Tang Yi himself couldn't appreciate it. Then came the comeback point. After winning the warm-up match, Tang Yi received a comeback point as a reward from the system. The system didn't explicitly explain the purpose of the comeback point, it simply gave Tang Yi a task. You are very excited after completing your first warm-up match since your comeback, and your determination to return to the game is higher than ever before. Scoring 1 goal in a warm-up match, reward, Bone Density Enhancement Capsule *1. Call. In the dormitory, Tang Yi lay on the bedboard, staring at the ceiling. He was already prepared to give up, but then he suddenly got this system. So, should we set it up or not? Tang Yi didn't know, all he knew was that he was a little sleepy. I'm sleepy and need to sleep. On the second day, the players of Utrecht 2 gathered at the training base. Like other teams, Utrecht shares a training base with its first and reserve teams. On his way to the training ground, Tang Yi saw first-team players, including striker Haller, who walked over to him. Tang, is that the correct way to address him? I saw the news, your outside-of-the-foot shot was truly spectacular. Tang Yi, a striker from the first team, saw the news about himself and was somewhat surprised. Am I in the news? Of course, a goal of that caliber deserves to be in the news. The voice came from behind, it was a bald man wearing a black Nike jacket. Erik ten Hag is the head coach of Utrecht's first team. Chapter 4 Training Match, Ten Hag observes from the sidelines. Erik. Tang Yi extended his right hand to Ten Hag. As a reserve team player, he certainly knew Ten Hag, the first team coach. Ten Hag gave Tang Yi a quick once-over. How tall are you? About 1.75 meters. 1.74 meters tall. Tang Yi replied, and Ten Hag patted him on the shoulder. It's okay, you're still growing at 16, keep it up. After saying goodbye to Ten Hag, Tang Yi arrived at the second team's training ground. When Tang Yi arrived, his teammates were already warming up under the guidance of assistant coach Karen. Tang, you're late again. Tang Yi appeared on the training field, and Milan's voice came over the next second. Tang Yi quickly ran to the locker room to change his shoes. This is the 15th time you've been late this month. Do you even know what day it is today? The 19th. Melent looked at Tang Yi with fury in his eyes. while the latter scratched his head and said, "Sir, doesn't this mean I haven't been late for 4 days? Those 4 days are holidays." Melent slapped Tang Yi on the butt. "Go warm up quickly, there's something very important today. Mr. Eric from the first team is coming to observe the second team." "Eric?" Tang Yi's eyes lit up, and he found Zaka, who was warming up nearby, and asked, "What's going on? Why is Eric here to watch our training?" "The new season is about to begin, and the first team is lacking a midfielder." Zaka explained that not only is the reserve team lacking midfielders, but Utrecht's first team is also facing a midfield void. "I've heard that Milner is very likely to move to the first team." As Zaka spoke, he gestured with his mouth toward Milner, who was currently the most likely midfielder to be selected by Ten Hag. "But I think you have a chance too." Zaka smiled and raised an eyebrow at Tang Yi, only to receive a glare in return. "You're overthinking it." Beep. After the warm-up, the 29 players from the second team were divided into 2 teams under Milan's arrangement, and 22 starting players were selected from the 29 players. Tang Yi was not originally going to be in the starting lineup, but Ten Hag required all midfielders to play in this training match. Tang Yi benefited from this and successfully wore the green vest representing the B team. After assistant coach Karen blew the whistle, the 30-minute intra-squad scrimmage began. Melent and Ten Hag sat together chatting. In fact, Ten Hag had already decided who would make it into the first team. This training match was just to make the process appear fairer. "Oh right, that number 99, yes, the Asian one." Ten Hag pointed at Tang Yi, who was wearing a green vest on the field. "That guy, is he not feeling well?" Why do you say that?" "The race has been going on for 5 minutes, and he hasn't even started running yet." Melent stood up from his chair. "Fuck, Don, run. If you don't run, get off the chair." Melent's words were very helpful. As soon as he finished speaking, Tang Yi swung his leg and ran out, arriving in front of Team A's ball handler, Zaka. Although Tang Yi started running, he only looked at Zaka in front of him and did not make any defensive moves. Could this be the legendary eye contact as a form of defense? Smack! Tang Yi failed to intercept the ball from him, and Zaka seized the opportunity, sending a through ball to Milner, who dribbled forward. Melent is getting a little nervous seeing Milner with the ball. Ten Hag is here to select players for the reserve team. If he takes away the best midfielder from the reserve team, then Utrecht Reserve will face difficulties next season and be thrashed by other Dutch second division teams. Eric. Melent thought for a moment, then said to Ten Hag beside him, "Although Milner's ability to advance the ball is good, he is actually a very inconsistent player, and, to be honest, Milner's defensive ability is rather average." Ten Hag raised an eyebrow, somewhat surprised by what Melent said. "Isn't it alright? I feel that number 20, Milner, is probably the best midfielder in your reserve team. He's at the level of a substitute in the Eredivisie." Damn it. Melent knew things were going badly. It's precisely because Milner is the best that you can't take him away. The head coach of the first team can never understand the pain of the reserve team. That's true, but this is an intra-squad practice match, so what you see is often the player's best side. Melent had his own explanation, and just then Milner, who was dribbling past defenders, encountered a defensive presence. Ten Hag signaled to Melent to calm down and watch Milner's play first. At the edge of the penalty area for Team B, Milner faced 2 defensive midfielders pressing him. He first looked left and right, and Zaka was in a very good position on the right wing. Logically, Milner should have passed the ball to the wing at this point. But Milner did not choose to do that. The first team head coach is sitting outside the stadium. Under the watchful eyes of both coaches, Milner chose to force his way to the edge of the penalty area, which ultimately resulted in losing possession of the ball. See, this is what I meant when I said Milner is a player with very obvious weaknesses. Ten Hag remained silent. He had also noticed Milner's earlier actions. Milner was a player who liked to show off. Milner can play a lone wolf style, but he doesn't have the ability to support it. What's more, this guy is a midfielder. How can a midfielder not pass the ball? Considering that Melent is the head coach of the reserve team and is most familiar with the reserve team players, Ten Hag turned his head and asked a very serious question. So who do you think is more suitable to come to the first team? Melent pointed his right hand at number 99 on the field. Him. You mean Tang? Ten Hag's eyes widened. No, 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 his attitude in the game is too negative. Unless he can keep making the kind of passes he did yesterday, he will have a very hard time playing in the Eredivisie. After watching the training match for more than 10 minutes, Ten Hag had a general understanding of Tang Ye's situation. Putting aside the fact that he gets out of breath after running just a few steps, just his attitude of not even running makes it clear that Ten Hag would never let Tang Ye play in the Dutch league. Besides, he's too young. That's not a problem. Melent said in a serious tone, then looked at Ten Hag with a mysterious expression, gesturing for the Dutchman to lean closer. Tang's outside of the foot pass was a testament to his skill. He can still produce passes of that caliber in a match. Melent's heart was pounding when he said that, but he kept suppressing his emotions. Don't blush. You absolutely mustn't blush at this moment. Are you serious? 100% serious. Melent gave a thumbs up, a confident smile on his face. Just then, Tang Ye gained possession of the ball, and Melent's confident smile suddenly vanished. Damn, I'm about to pull off a successful scam, you better hurry up and pass the ball. Tang Ye was unaware of what was happening off the field, nor did he care who was watching him. The first thing he saw when he looked up was Issa Karen, who was running at the front. Snap! With a flick of the outside of his foot, the ball came to Callan's feet. This is another one-on-one opportunity, a classic one-on-one opportunity. Callan received the ball very comfortably. He only needed to wrap the ball with the instep of his foot and then follow up with a push shot to complete the goal. Clap clap clap. Ten Hag applauded Tang Ye on the field. Merent, you have a good eye. Merent, huh? Melenti remained silent, so Ten Hag turned his head and found Melenti, the second-team coach, staring dumbfounded at Tang Ye on the field. Cough cough. Hey Eric, listen to me, Don also has a lot of shortcomings. We can't rush to send him to the first team. Chapter 5 Monk is here. But Tang's passing was really good. Tang Ha said. Although Tang Ye is young, although Tang Ye likes to take walks, although Tang Ye doesn't have much defensive ability. Despite all these shortcomings, his incredible passing ability cannot be overshadowed. What Utrecht's first team needs is to win. In high-level leagues like the Eredivisie, what do you need to win in a high-stakes match? Top-notch discipline, and a tiny bit of creativity. Tang Ye lacks discipline, but he is creative. Ten Hag can already picture Tang Ye delivering a one-on-one chance in a Dutch league match. Holy crap, if there were a midfielder like that, how easy would it be for the strikers to score goals? However, right after making that pass, Tang Ye suddenly started walking slowly off the field. What's wrong? Melent and Ten Hag tensed up at almost the same time. Damn, this level of training shouldn't cause any player injuries, right? What's going on? Melent shouted, expecting Tang Ye to point out what was wrong with his body, but unexpectedly Tang Ye secretly walked to the sidelines, took a new piece of chewing gum from his backpack, put it in his mouth, and then hurriedly ran back to the field. The chewing gum I had before had lost its flavor, so Tang Ye needs to get a new one. Melent, Ten Hag. Does he like chewing gum? Ten Hag suddenly asked. This. Melent took a deep breath and casually brushed it off. He only recently noticed Tang Ye, and he wasn't really clear about his preferences or playing style. The training match ended quickly. Ten Hag silently remembered Tang Ye and then left the second team's training ground. Although this training match wasn't very intense, there are still some issues you need to pay attention to. Melent explained the tactics in the middle, and the players listened attentively in a circle. Tang Ye, taking advantage of the crowd, sneaked to the outermost part of the crowd and sat down directly on the grass. Hey, Tang, the coach is talking. Zaka kicked Tang Ye's butt as a reminder. Tang Ye pressed his index finger to his lips and whispered, Shoo, I'll sit for a while. Get up. Zaka insisted that Tang Ye get up, which Tang Ye found a little strange, but he soon found out why. Looking up, he saw the fierce Melent was staring down at him. Sir. Tang Ye felt somewhat embarrassed, and at the same time, he felt a little wronged. This was the first time he had experienced the drawbacks of the system. Originally, Melent would never have cared about him sneaking to the back of the group, but now, because of those two blind out steps, Melent is staring at him with both eyes. Tang, do you know? Melent looked at Tang Yi sitting at his feet. You don't feel like you're 16, you're 36. You're lazier than Mrs. Jones's sow. On July 23, Utrecht 2 continued their warm-up matches at home. Unlike their last match, Utrecht's opponent today is Sparta Rotterdam 2, a team from the lower league Dutch qualifiers. In the Chinese Happy Beans live stream room, Wang Chao started broadcasting the match as usual. Phew, good evening everyone. This is the warm-up match between Utrecht and Sparta Rotterdam. The last match between Utrecht caused quite a few of you guys in the live stream to lose some beans, but don't panic. As long as you follow Brother Chao's strategy in today's match, you definitely can't go wrong. Let's talk about Chao Go after we win the bet. Right now, you can only be Xiao Wang. Am I right, Xiao Wang? Host, I bet on Advance Eagles to win the last match as you requested, and I haven't been to the foot massage parlor for 4 days now. You have to compensate me. Will Tang Yi play today? I watched that outside of the foot pass over 50 times last time, it was fucking awesome. That shot was definitely a fluke, but since he managed to score such a lucky goal, Tang will definitely get a lot of playing time from now on. Home team 3-0, if this wins, I'll buy a Utrecht jersey. Before the competition even started, the Bean Gods, in the Happy Bean live stream room were already making bold predictions. Streamer Wang Chao wasn't left out either. If Utrecht beats their opponent 3-0 or 3-1 in today's match, I'll buy an authentic jersey right away. Making a promise to buy a jersey is something many fans do, but unlike ordinary fans, the Bean Gods, fans of the Bean Gods, don't lie. If they guess the score correctly, they'll actually buy the authentic jerseys that cost several hundred yuan each. When the match started, the commentator did not introduce the starting lineups of both teams, because in a match of this level, apart from Tang Yi, no one knew the other teams. Is the competition important? No, the score is what matters. On site, the director focused the camera on Tang Yi on the bench, and the fans in the stands immediately screamed. Everyone remembers that stunning outside of the foot shot from just a few days ago. Are you under a lot of pressure? Zaka nudged Tang Yi's upper arm with his elbow, and the latter nonchalantly shrugged his shoulders. The pressure is immense. They want to see you pass with the outside of your foot. That was a lucky guess, they won't see it a second time. Tang Yi chuckled. If he shows the fans the outside of his foot, wouldn't that make Tang Yi lose face? Keep moving forward, keep moving forward. Yes, that's it, beautiful. Melent clapped his hands repeatedly. Less than 15 minutes into the game, the home team Utrecht scored first, making the score 1-0. After celebrating with the fans on the field, Melent turned his attention to Tang Yi, who was sitting on the bench. Melent had originally intended to send Tang Yi away from the reserve team, but now his thinking has changed slightly. Now all the fans think that Tang Yi's outside of the foot shot was a fluke, but Melendi knows that's not the case, because Tang Yi hit the same shot again in training the day after the match. One time can be explained, but what about 2 times? Melent's keen sense of smell helped him catch a subtle clue. He didn't want to let Tang Yi go now. But what if Ten Hag needs people? Got it. Melent's eyes lit up, and he called out to Tang Yi on the bench, Tang, go warm up. Tang Yi used the outside of his foot to pass the ball to attract Ten Hag, and that was all Tang Yi did. Ten Hag definitely watched this match. All Melent just needs to do is put Tang Yi on the field so that Ten Hag can see the guy's weaknesses completely. Melent was very quick. He had Tang Yi warm up around the field in the 14th minute, and then substituted him on in the 35th minute. Here he comes, Monk is here. Tang Yi is back on the field. Sure enough, I told you the coach would give him more opportunities, but I bet 2,000 yuan on a 3-0 victory, and Tang Yi comes on at this crucial moment. The home team scored a goal in the 12th minute. I thought my 3-0 lead was secured, but then you brought on Munko. Merent is dismissed. Chapter 6. He put his hands in his pockets. Snap. After high-fiving his teammates, Tang Yi ran towards the court, and he felt a rare sense of pressure. However, Tang Yi's pressure was not because he was worried about not being able to perform well, but because he had to go on the court a little too early this time. Based on Tang Yi's experience during training, if you play in the first half, you will be very tired in the second half. The exhaustion and panting were torture for Tang Yi. Run. Don't walk. Just as Tang Yi ran toward his attacking midfield position, Milan's voice came from behind. I know. After saying that, Tang Yi, wanting to show off, ran directly towards the away team player with the ball, which made Melent look pleased. Sure enough, these disobedient players need to be scolded more. In reality, there are no inherently highly disciplined players in the world. The more coaches who scold their players, the more disciplined players there will be. Tang Yi is on the field. He had a very impressive performance in the last warm-up match, but because he didn't play much, many fans may only remember his outside-of-the-foot shot. Tang Yi came on in the first half today, and with so much playing time, we should be able to see more of his strengths. That's true, but after Tang Yi came on, Wang Chao secretly went backstage and placed a bet on a draw. This will prevent you from losing too much money later. In the first few minutes after coming on, Tang Yi pressed very aggressively, and in one of his tackles he almost snatched the ball from the opponent. But after 5 minutes, Tang Yi suddenly stopped running. The camera pans to Tang Yi, the number 99 player from the second team, who is rubbing his buttocks with both hands and starting to stroll around the field. Lazy pig, get running. Melent shouted, and just moments before he did, Tang Yi dropped back to receive the ball from Amrabat and began his forward run. Tang Yi wasn't running fast, which gave Sparta Rotterdam's defenders an opportunity. Of course, Utrecht wasn't stupid. Seeing a player rushing towards Tang Yi who had the ball, Xhaka immediately retreated, signaling Tang Yi to pass the ball to him. Tang Yi never refuses when someone wants to take this bad ball away. Snap! Tang Yi passed the ball to Xhaka, and then switched from running to walking, slowly making his way forward, observing the surroundings as he went. Running is tiring, but observing with your eyes is very easy. Tang Yi likes this kind of easy work. While taking a walk, Tang Yi spotted an open space ahead, so he bypassed the away team's defenders and suddenly sped up to run across it. Give it to me quickly, give it to me quickly. Melent urged, and Xhaka reacted quickly, using the instep of his foot to send a through ball to Tang Yi. In the shot, Tang Yi controlled the ball, at which point he was less than 5 meters from the edge of the penalty area. Unfortunately, Utrecht did not have a tall enough center forward to take over the position in the penalty area. Give me. Karen on the right wing reached out for the ball, and Tang Yi glanced to the right wing, instantly assessing the situation there. This is not a good time to pass the ball. So he looked to the left and decisively swung out his outside foot. Tang Yi, pass the ball to the wing with the outside of your foot, again with the outside of your foot. Wang Chao had just shouted it out when he immediately realized something was wrong. Tang Yi's pass wasn't directed at any of the players on the left wing, instead, it went in a C shape and ran towards the left baseline. Damn it, that went straight out of bounds. Wang Chao exclaimed in regret, realizing that his decision to bet on a draw after Tang Yi came on was not entirely wrong. However, just as the ball reached the left post and was almost out of bounds, a player ran out from the left. This is Utrecht's left back, Trupp. With a bang, Trupp's header found the back of the net. Holy shit. Dude, were you serious about that pass? The live stream only had ambient sound, Wang Chao didn't say a word. This wasn't because the stream crashed, he genuinely didn't speak. The camera focused on Trupp, the defender from Curaçao, who immediately rushed towards Tang Yi after scoring the goal. Holy crap, what kind of pass was that? What kind of pass was that? Holy crap. 2-0, Utrecht 2-0 Sparta Rotterdam. Beep, beep beep. The referee blew the whistle to end the first half, and the players from both sides began to slowly walk toward the players' tunnel. As the team in the lead, all the Utrecht players on the field had smiles on their faces, except for Tang Yi. Because he's already finding it a bit difficult. Tom. More than 1,000 Utrecht fans at the scene chanted Tang Yi's name. For these Dutch people, the word tang is a bit difficult to pronounce, but they can find an equivalent word in English. Hey, Tang, your fans are waving at you, why aren't you reacting? Xhaka patted Tang Yi on the back, reminding his teammate. So what should I do now? Tang Yi scratched his head. Wave. Wave to them. Oh, okay. Tang Yi took a few breaths and then raised his right hand. Wow. Tom. Bang 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 bang. Tickets are not required for the Utrecht 2 team's warm-up matches. The audience consists mainly of die-hard fans from Utrecht or nearby cities. They are all fans of Utrecht's first team, so they are naturally happy to see such a talented player emerge from the reserve team. I can guarantee it. A bearded man in the stands patted his chest and declared, "I guarantee this Asian kid will join the first team before he turns 18. This is exactly the kind of midfielder Utrecht needs." At halftime, Tanguy suggested a substitution to Melent, and unsurprisingly, he was met with a barrage of insults from his good coach. In the second half, Tanguy continued to stroll around, but ever since that pass in the first half, the away team intensified their marking of Tanguy. So even though Tanguy seems to be strolling around the field, Sparta Rotterdam will assign a player to keep an eye on him. This is really uncomfortable. Around the 70th minute, Tanguy was already panting heavily. The fatigue in the first half was mental, while the fatigue in the second half was physical. It was truly exhausting. Just as he was catching his breath, Tanguy's eyes suddenly lit up, because he had spotted another opening, an opening in the penalty area. Tanguy's intuition told him there was a chance to score, so he clapped his hands, put them in his pockets, and swaggered towards the away team's penalty area. "Tanguy, what's going on? Why are we heading straight into the restricted area? Is he walking or running?" It seems like he's walking, because Tanguy's hands are in his pockets. Wow, Tanguy isn't wearing basketball shorts, these don't look like they have pockets. Never mind, Amrabat, send a through ball. Tanguy, facing the defender, adjust your position and pull the ball towards your feet. The defender has been fooled. Tanguy, shoot. Goal. Holy crap, Tanguy scores. 3-0, 79th minute, 3-0. 3-0. Awesome. Tanguy, you're like my dad, even closer than my own father. Tonight's foot massage is on Mr. Tang. Melent, a renowned coach. Give me a point. Holy crap, a direct goal, Tanguy. Chinese help Chinese. Goal from Tanguy. 3-0, the game is over. Chapter 7, Midlife Healthcare. No, that's forcing growth. Old soldiers never die. You scored your first goal in a preseason friendly since your retirement comeback. You have received a reward, Bone Density Enhancement Capsule *1. Upon hearing the voice from the system in his mind, Tanguy's thoughts stirred. Middle-aged people who play football need to use health supplements, such as Bone Density Enhancement Capsules. Actual age, 16 years and 4 months, bone mass, 17 years and 4 months, bone age, 16 years and 3 months. Physical confrontation, 4052. What is that? Tanguy frowned. These bone density enhancing capsules had directly improved his bone quality for a whole year. The actual age of 16 years and 4 months, and the bone quality of 17 years and 4 months. Brother, this isn't middle-aged health maintenance. This is like pulling up seedlings to help them grow. Etc. Tanguy suddenly realized something was wrong, and taking advantage of the opportunity to celebrate his goal and hug his teammates, he compared his height with Xhaka's. Tanguy breathed a sigh of relief that his bone mass had increased by 1 year, but his height did not suddenly increase dramatically. It would be bad if others found out that I was secretly cheating. Beep, beep beep. As the match ended, the name Talking Tom echoed through the Utrecht Youth Stadium. Although it's Mango, as long as Tanguy can pull off this kind of outside-of-the-foot shot in every game, the fans will have nothing to say. This is truly awesome. Mongolia is here. Utrecht 2 defeats Sparta Rotterdam 3-0, Tanguy scores 1 goal and provides 1 assist. Was the player issue shorts too tight or was he trying to show off? Tanguy scored a goal while wearing Utrecht fan issue shorts with his hands in his pockets during the match against Sparta Rotterdam. Looking at the pinned news on the Donquidi app, Chinese football fans felt a sense of disorientation. Around this time last year, news about Tanguy was everywhere in the club, with people saying he was a prodigy who had landed in the Dutch second division. But less than 2 months later, Tanguy was judged by the club and domestic fans to be a slacker. A whole year later, the same news has made headlines again. So, should we trust Tanguy at this point? Happy Beans player, I believe it. After the match, the second team players returned to their base, which is only a 10-minute drive from the stadium. They received massages from the team's masseur at the base, and after the massages were finished, they could go home to rest. Ding! An old horse in its stall still aspires to gallop 1,000 miles. You scored a goal in the warm-up match, and fans marveled at how you, at 37, can still maintain such a sharp instinct. You are now only one step away from a full comeback. Mission: appear in the player roster for official matches, announcing to the fans the return of an aging king. Reward: Brazil chest. Reward varies depending on league level. Reward tiers: beginner, intermediate, advanced, superstar, legend. The rewards vary depending on the league level, and Tang Yi noticed that the rewards given by the system for this mission were somewhat special. According to the system's description, if Tang Yi appears on Utrecht 2's Dutch 2nd Division match roster, he can get a mid-level treasure chest. Of course, because of this mechanism, Tang Yi has a backup plan. Even if he goes to the Dutch 2nd Division, which is the Dutch qualifiers, he can still get a beginner treasure chest. Tang! Zaka called out, Don, are you listening to me? Huh? Oh, sorry, what's wrong? Tang Yi was walking back to his dormitory when he came to his senses and found that Zaka was watching him. Do you feel like you've gotten taller? Zaka gestured in front of Tang Yi. I remember you used to only reach my nose, but now you're almost up to my eyes. Really? Tang Yi looked down at the ground, trying to figure out if he had really grown taller as Zaka had said. Unfortunately, without a specific reference point, Tang Yi couldn't see it for himself. Believe me, you really have grown taller. Zaka said with great certainty, and then asked Tang Yi a question, can you teach me how to grow taller? I want to grow taller too. As a winger, Zaka really wishes he could be taller, because that would give him a longer stride, long enough to leave defenders behind. Do you want to know why I was able to grow taller? Tang Yi didn't intend to dwell too much on whether he had grown taller or not, so he simply accepted the situation. Why? Because I sleep a lot, and we're at the age where we need sleep the most. Okay, then I'll go back and go to sleep. Zaka kept his word, and the first thing he did when he got back to his room was to turn off the lights. Tang Yi across the room did the same. He was used to going to bed at 9 o'clock every day. Middle-aged players should apply strict self-discipline to themselves after retiring and returning to competition. Random daily task, 5 kilometers jog. Reward, 3 comeback points. What the hell? Upon hearing the system's familiar voice, Tang Yi revealed a disdainful expression. This is a daily task, which probably means that Tang Yi needs to practice more. The 3 opportunities for a comeback were certainly tempting, but Tang Yi was clearly not the kind of person who would be easily tempted. Random daily task, 200 bodyweight squats. Reward, 3 comeback points. When Tang Yi woke up the next morning, he found that his task had changed. Sure enough, this thing was different every day. However, Tang Yi didn't care at all, quickly washed up and went to the cafeteria for dinner. While eating in the cafeteria, Tang Yi learned from his teammates that the first team needed to integrate the new lineup before the start of the season, so everyone from their second team had to go to the first team as sparring partners today. It's called sparring, but it's actually just an 11-on-11 scrimmage against the first team. This is Tang Yi's favorite training program because at this time, he can sit on the bench for a whole morning, which is just too awesome. Arriving at the first team's training ground with his teammates, Tang Yi consciously sat on the bench today. Unexpectedly, the first team's head coach, Ten Hag, walked directly towards Tang Yi and said, Tang, you go up. Tang Yi didn't rush to stand up. Instead, he glanced at Melent beside Ten Hag and waited for Melent to nod in approval before finally putting on the yellow vest. Beep. With a whistle from assistant coach Van der Gatch, the match between the second team and the first team officially began. Utrecht's first team loves to cross from the wing after getting to the byline. They are a team that excels at using the width of the pitch to create opportunities. Considering this situation, Melent deliberately changed the original 433 formation to 442, with the aim of limiting the first team's wing play. The restrictions were indeed imposed, but they are the first team after all, and the players' impact is incomparable to those of the second team. Just 3 minutes into the training match, the first team had already taken 2 shots, one of which was on target, completely stunning the second team's goalkeeper. Call. Ten Hag sighed, realizing this wouldn't do, and had Van der Gatch stop the match. Change it, change it. Exchange 2 players. After shouting, Van der Gatch looked at Ten Hag beside him. Which 2 players should we substitute? Send Milner and Don over there. Yes, that Chinese kid, swap him for him. This. Eric. Melent, hearing the commotion, came over. The first team's pressing is too strong, we can't get the ball out of play. You can do without a center forward, we can get the game going if we're down a man. It's fine, bringing Tang over will be the same. Without one more person, it's impossible to simulate a real match, and Ten Hag is quite particular about this aspect. Sending Tang over there will be the same, why? Because he never forces or robs. That makes sense. Chapter 8, Going to the First Team. Tang Yi and Milner, 2 midfielders, were inexplicably removed from their yellow vests and joined the first team lineup. Tang Yi did not disappoint Ten Hag's expectations and began his strolling routine with the first team. Xhaka dribbled forward near the center circle, but Tang Yi didn't challenge him. Kalen walked up to Tang Yi's face, and Tang Yi slowly walked towards Kalen. The two were less than 2 meters apart, but Tang Yi still didn't go for the shot. Seeing this, Melent was almost moved to tears. Melent didn't want Tang Yi to leave the reserve team, and Tang Yi knew this, so he deliberately adopted a very negative attitude during the match when Ten Hag was supervising. The apprentice knew what his master was thinking. What is meant by a deep bond between a teacher and student? This is the deep bond between a master and his student. Tang Yi is talented, and Melent believes he can help to unleash that talent. Just then, Tang Yi, who had been standing still, suddenly started running. The first team's Beresit made a tackle on Xhaka and immediately spotted Tang Yi, who had moved out of position. Unfortunately, because Tang Yi was from the reserve team, Beresit did not pass the ball. Give it to him. Ten Hag shouted, and Balazit, hearing the coach's call, acted decisively, passing the ball directly to Tang Yi. Snap. Tang Yi controlled the ball with his foot, but didn't start moving. He just pointed towards the front of the field with his right hand. At the front, center forward Ale, noticing something was wrong, suddenly ran forward. Tang Yi seized the opportunity, struck the ball with the instep of his foot, and delivered a low through ball to the front. Your mother. Amrabat cursed loudly, completely unexpected that Tang Yi would pass the ball like that. He didn't even have time to stretch his leg. Snap. The ball rolled past Amrabat, then past the 2 center-backs of the second team, and finally came to the feet of center-forward Haller. A perfect scoring opportunity. Facing the second team's goalkeeper's challenge, Haller swung his leg and shot. With a bang, the ball flew over the crossbar. That's a standard anti-aircraft gun shot. Forehead. Alai clutched his head, turned to look at Tang Yi, and gave him a thumbs up. Mine. Mine. A 16-year-old player from the second team gifted him a perfect one-on-one opportunity, but Haller failed to capitalize on it. Damn it, is there anything more embarrassing than this? It's nothing, it's nothing. Tang Yi waved his hand dismissively. It's just a training match, so it doesn't matter whether we score or not. Tang Yi didn't care, but Ten Hag on the sidelines had a dark expression. He is a coach who cares a lot about his reputation, and the fact that the first team players are dragging down the second team players is something that Ten Hag is unwilling to accept. Ten Hag turned to Malenti beside him. Our players weren't in great form today, otherwise this victory would be ours. After explaining the situation to the players on the field, Ten Hag's gaze returned to Tang Yi. This guy is going for a walk again. Cough cough. Melent coughed twice, then said to Ten Hag, Don has always been rather lazy, he was like that last season too. Why aren't you running? Is it because you can't run? Shouldn't you have a lot of endurance training? He would sneak away during every endurance training session. Question mark. Ten Hag's eyes widened, there are players like this. Melent felt a surge of pleasure upon seeing Ten Hag's surprised expression. He knew that the Dutchman was very disciplined, and a player like Tang Yi who was good at tanking was unlikely to be of interest to him. I think we need to give it a try. The first team is currently facing a bottleneck, so let's pause this guy's training tomorrow. Pause. Why? Melent didn't understand what Ten Hag was saying. I will find someone to help him register for Eredivisie status with KNVB, Royal Dutch Football Association. The transfer window is about to close, and it will be too late if we don't register now. Eric, listen to me, Don's discipline is a big problem, and he's only 16 years old. He won't be able to adapt if he goes straight to the Dutch league. Mielant's voice suddenly became louder, and Van der Gatch on the sidelines thought he was going to make a substitution, so he came over to ask him. After learning that he was talking to Ten Hag, he left. It's okay, there's no rush. What I mean is to register him in the Eredivisie first, and then let him train with the first team. Ten Hag shrugged, registering him in the Eredivisie doesn't mean he has to play. This guy has talent, and he'll improve even faster if he trains with the first team. Ten Hag's meaning was clear, he wanted to keep Tanguy by his side. They lack discipline. Ten Hag will personally teach you how to follow the rules. This. Melant looked somewhat hesitant. The first team is short of midfielders, and so is their reserve team. Eric, how about we hold off for now and put Tang in the reserve team until next season, or during the winter transfer window this season? We can observe him for another half a season and see how he fares. Ten Hag didn't immediately respond to Mielant's suggestion. Instead, he turned around and put his hands on Mielant's shoulders. Tell me, what is your position? Forehead. Ten Hag's question was a bit odd, but Melant still answered seriously, second team head coach. You still remember you're the head coach of the second team? Ten Hag pulled his hand back, it's settled. He has to report to the first team the day after tomorrow. After the morning training session ended, Melant took Tanguy and Amrabat with him. We have another training session this afternoon after lunch, but you don't need to come to that one. Ah. Amrabat's eyes lit up, and his face showed indescribable joy. Melant looked at Tanguy again and noticed that Tanguy's expression was somewhat tense. Mr. Melant, I'm not going to be kicked out, am I? Tanguy was a little sad. He had worked his way up for a whole season, and now he was finally going to be eliminated. Although he didn't like training, he didn't want to be expelled. Cough cough. After clearing his throat twice to ease the awkwardness, Melant continued, this afternoon you two will train with the first team together. Tomorrow someone will help you register for the Eredivisie. Amrabat rubbed his hands together, already imagining himself making his debut in the Eredivisie. More than 20,000 audience members, wow. Upon learning that he was going to join the first team, Tanguy suddenly frowned. What's wrong? Melant asked. Is the training intensity of the first team very high? Should I train with the second team for a while longer? What? Mielant's eyes widened, he felt a warm glow inside. Although Tanguy is unreliable, he still remembers Melant, the reserve team coach. No, don't come back. Melant took a deep breath. Don, although I often criticize you, I'm telling you now, you're actually a very talented player. You should go to the Dutch Eredivisie, not back to the Dutch second division. Trust me, I can sense that your potential is 10 million euros. 10 million euros? That's too much. Fuck. Get out of here right now. Melant pushed Tanguy away from his arms and pointed towards the first team's training ground. Lazy pig, you unambitious lazy pig, if your market value ever exceeds 10 million euros, I'll shove the shit into my own mouth. Get out. Chapter 9, let that kid learn his lesson. Utrecht FC, Sofian Amrabat, number 16, and Tanguy, number 99, from the reserve team have been promoted to the first team and have completed their registration in the Dutch Eredivisie. Munko promoted to Utrecht's first team, joining Zhang Yuning to begin their Eredivisie professional careers. News from Utrecht's official website and Donquidi, a Chinese sports betting platform, quickly went viral among Chinese fans. Wow, Meng Gu is awesome. 2 outside of the foot shots and he's been promoted to the first team. Although it was a fluke, to be honest, Tang's playing style is an art, he just walks around and suddenly provides an assist. Other athletes find opportunities on the field by running and positioning themselves, but I, Meng Gu, am different. I find opportunities by moving around. Playing in the Dutch Eredivisie at 16. Holy crap, will Utrecht really let Tanguy play in the match? Fun fact, in the Netherlands, players under 18 cannot sign professional contracts, so Tang can only play for the first team on a youth academy contract. A youth academy contract is fine, but joining a Dutch Eredivisie first team at 16, and from a mid to upper tier team like Utrecht, I'm absolutely blown away. The day after the news broke, fans saw Tang Ye's name on the player roster on Utrecht's official website. 99 Ye Tang, U17. He's still wearing the number 99 jersey, and you can tell from the U17 after Tang Ye's name that he still has a youth training contract with the first team. However, unlike his youth training contract when he played for the reserve team, Tang Ye's new contract offers a weekly wage of up to €1,000, which is almost double his previous weekly wage. Of course, there is also a release clause. If other teams want to sign Tang Ye, they will need to pay a release clause of €35,000. It's just that no team would be willing to spend that money. On July 28, Amsterdam time, it was Tang Ye's first day in the first team. After waking up in the reserve team's dormitory, Tang Ye headed to the first team's training ground. Random daily task, 25 reps of 40 kg barbell bench press. Reward, 3 comeback points. The familiar voice rang out, but Tang Ye, as always, ignored it completely. Arriving at the training ground, it's 8:55 a.m., almost half an hour since the 8:30 a.m. assembly time. Tang Ye didn't hear Milan's voice when he entered the training ground, because this was not the second team's training ground. First team head coach Erik ten Hag was looking at Tang Ye with an expression that said, "My mother just died." If Ten Hag had scolded him like Melent had, Tang Ye would have felt better. But Ten Hag didn't say a word and just stared straight at him, which gave Tang Ye a creepy feeling. "Good morning, Mr. Erik. You were late for the first training session." Ten Hag glanced at his watch. "Did you go to a bar last night?" "No, how could that be? I'm only 16. I can't even get into a bar. I went straight to sleep after I got back to my dorm last night." Tang Ye spoke the truth, but Ten Hag didn't quite believe him. "You mean you slept from 9 p.m. to 8:30 a.m., you slept for 11.5 hours, and then you were late?" "Well, you could say that, but I was only a little over 10 minutes late." "Does that count as being late?" Tang Ye looked into Ten Hag's eyes. When he was in the second team, he was used to being half an hour late. Today was his first day in the first team. Out of respect for his work, Tang Ye set his alarm clock 20 minutes earlier. "Okay, this is your first and last time, understand?" Ten Hag pointed at Tang Ye's nose. "If you're late again next time, I won't allow you to eat in the first team's canteen." "Okay, now go warm up, today's training is very demanding, you need to be prepared." After Ten Hag finished speaking, Tang Ye immediately ran to the side to put on his sneakers. The first team not only has better players than the second team, but the coach is also stricter. Beep. Assistant coach Van der Gatch blew his whistle to gather the players together. With only 10 days until Utrecht's first Eredivisie match of the new season, Van der Gatch said they will focus their training on tactical coordination. So, under Van der Gatch's command, the first team players formed several circles, with a player wearing a yellow vest placed in each circle. This training game is called circle grabbing. The players in the circle pass the ball to each other, and the player in the middle has to keep trying to grab it. This game can train players' short-range passing and receiving skills, and it is also one of Tang Ye's favorite training programs because the game is not as physically demanding as real combat. "Hey, Tang." Center forward Haller extended his right hand to Tang Ye. "I'm so sorry about that one-on-one chance the other day, I didn't keep my balance." "Oh, it's nothing, it's nothing." Tang Ye extended his hand. "It's just a practice match, it's fine." "But..." Tang Ye raised his head. "Sebastian, how tall are you?" "Me? Ha ha ha. 1.91 meters tall." Tang Ye took a deep breath. No wonder he's a first-team player. A 1.91-meter center forward. I wish he could grow that tall. "Stop talking, Tang, catch the ball." The voice of defender came from behind. Tang Ye turned around after hearing the voice and saw the ball rolling towards him, as well as Ramsir running towards him. According to the rules of the game, Tang Ye needs to pass the ball to any teammate, but he absolutely cannot let Ramsir touch the ball. With his brain working quickly, Tang Ye found a solution that saved him the most effort among all the options. Tang Ye simply let the ball pass by, and it ended up at Aile's feet. Haller reacted quickly. and before Ramsier could get there, he passed the ball to Van der Merel, who was coming to receive it on the left. Quite creative. Van der Gatch crossed his arms and expressed his approval of Tanye's performance. Just now, Ramsier was less than 1 meter away from Tanye. No matter where Tanye passed the ball, there would be a risk. The fact that he could think of letting the ball pass at that moment shows that Ten Hag's judgment was correct. This is indeed a very creative player. Do you know why he let the ball pass? Ten Hag laughed and asked Van der Gatch a question in return. Why? Because it's the easiest way to handle the ball. This guy only wants to use his brain, not his body. After saying that, Ten Hag called over Ramsilar, come, and the others who had been vying for the lap time, pointed at Tanye in the distance, and whispered, keep an eye on that Chinese kid. If necessary, teach him a lesson. 3 minutes later. Holy crap. Tanye spoke in his native language, spreading his hands towards Ramsilar in front of him. Brother, can you please stop shoving me? Please. Chapter 10. Are you a possession-based midfielder? I think I am. In the early hours of August 9, Beijing time, Feyenoord faced Utrecht in the first round of the 2015-16 Eredivisie season. As early as an hour before the match started, Chinese fans began to camp out on the Royal Dutch Football Association's website. They want to see one person's name on the team roster. But I didn't see it. Where's Mengo? I've been up all night and this is what you show me? I won't buy a Utrecht jersey unless Monk plays. Erik ten Hag, incompetent. That's enough, Tanye isn't on the roster, there's no point in watching this match. Wait, let me see what level Utrecht is at. If Utrecht is weak, Tanye still has a chance to play. The match began, and it was still Wang Chao's Happy Beans live stream. The viewership of Eredivisie matches is more than double that of Eerste Divisie, Dutch second division, warm-up matches, but today, apart from his loyal fans, there were hardly any viewers in Wang Chao's live stream. The reason is simple. That man wasn't on the roster. Damn it. Wang Chao was furious. He had just spent 599 yuan to buy an authentic jersey, and this was what he got in return. That's true, but Wang Chao noticed someone. Amrabat was promoted to the first team along with Tanye. If he can make the starting lineup, then one day our Mengo can too. Let's take a look at this match first. The referee blew the whistle to start the match. Facing the strong Feyenoord, Ten Hag had Utrecht's players set up a 5-3-2 formation. With 5 defenders, the key is to seek opportunities for victory while playing it safe. The camera panned to the away team's bench, where Ten Hag was watching the situation on the field with a serious expression. His bald head gave him an air of extraordinary authority. Beep, beep, beep. The match ended with Utrecht losing 1-3 to Feyenoord, playing away from home. Fuck, I knew it. Wang Chao was furious. More than 10 days ago, when Ten Hag brought Tanye to the first team, Wang Chao thought that this guy was a capable and famous coach. If you put Tanye on the field, it doesn't matter if you lose, Chinese fans will still support you. But how dare you leave my monk at the base without bringing him here? Get ready to be cyberbullied. After the match, at the press conference, Ten Hag, who had lost the game, was not in a good mood. So when facing reporters, he chose a way to make himself feel better. Actually, we are the winners of this game. They, Feyenoord, played brilliantly, but our players missed 3 excellent chances. Looking at the reporter who had asked the question, Ten Hag said earnestly, I think the score should have been 3-4 or 3-5, not 3-1. We missed too many opportunities. After listening to Ten Hag's words, the reporter nodded and posed his next question. Before the season started, you brought a 16-year-old player from the reserve team to the first team, which sparked widespread discussion among fans. He joined the first team at 16, is he a prodigy? Ten Hag did not answer the reporter's question immediately. He was silent for a moment before saying, we almost won this match, the victory should have been ours. On the 3rd day after the competition, Tanye, who had just finished his morning training, carried a plate and found Xhaka sitting in the corner, and walked straight over to him. Tang! When Xhaka saw Tanye walking towards him, his eyes widened. Ever since Tanye was recruited by Ten Hag to the first team as a sparring partner, he could only see his friend once every 2 or 3 days. After Tang Yi put the tray on the table, Zaka asked suspiciously, "Why did you come here to eat?" "I've been late too many times, and Eric won't let me into the first team's canteen anymore." Tang Yi dipped some ketchup in the fries and then put them in his mouth. "Ah." Zaka seemed to have heard something unbelievable. "If you can't go into the first team's canteen, what about training?" "Training will proceed as usual. I'll head back after lunch." As Tang Yi spoke, he picked up the pineapple burger from his plate. "Damn, what genius invented these hamburger fries? They're fucking delicious." Zaka was about to say that eating this kind of food would stunt your growth, but then he suddenly remembered something. "Tang, could you stand up for a moment?" "Stand up? Okay." Tang Yi put the half-eaten hamburger back on the plate, then stood up as Zaka had asked. "Sok, what's wrong?" Zaka also stood up, gestured carefully, and finally came to a conclusion. "You really have grown taller, I guarantee it." "That's great." Tang Yi grinned. "Sok, you know what? There are a few idiots in the first team who tackle me every day. Once I eat more hamburgers and grow taller, I'll just crush them." After lunch, when the team returned to the first team, Ten Hag did not immediately have the players start warming up, but instead gathered them together. In the Dutchman's philosophy, the afternoon is when people's minds are clearest, so Ten Hag likes to summarize the team's previous matches in the afternoon. "Do you know why we lost? Because we can't pass the ball out of our own half." Van der Geest pulled over a small tactical blackboard, and Ten Hag took a pen and started writing on the blackboard, successfully recreating the situation of the match the day before yesterday with a few simple sketches. Utrecht's defenders received the ball in their own half, and then Feyenoord's three forwards charged forward together. At this point, Utrecht's midfielders should have run back to receive the ball, but neither Ramsey nor Amrabat had the ability to receive it. If you want to attack, you at least have to get the ball from the defender's feet to the striker's feet to score. Ten Hag slammed his fist on the tactical board angrily. "We need to use our midfielders to support the defenders and then get the ball to the forwards so that our attack can be launched. Why can't we get the ball out when the opposing forwards are pressing forward? Because we don't have a midfielder who can control the ball. That's why we lost." Losing the first game of the season really got Ten Hag into a bad mood, and none of the players gathered there dared to say a word. At that moment, someone in the crowd raised their hand, and everyone turned to look. Mr. Eric. I think I'm a possession-based midfielder." "Are you a possession-based midfielder?" Ten Hag frowned. "Are you sure you're a possession-based midfielder?" To be honest, Tang He still doesn't know Tang Ye's specific role. This guy who just walks around the court is actually a master ball handler. Forehead. Tang Yi thought about it carefully. Although he didn't quite understand what his job was on the field, he had read his scouting report, which seemed to describe him as a ball-controlling midfielder. Tang Yi then gave a reply. "I think I am." Chapter 11, The Brazilian Superstar's Treasure Chest. "I can vouch for that." Amrabat, who was standing nearby, said that he had known Tang Yi for a year. Mr. Melent said he's a possession-type midfielder. After listening to the two men's account, Ten Hag was stunned. "I consider myself a ball-controlling midfielder." Mr. Melent said he was a possession-based midfielder. Tang Yi not only spoke out himself, but also received support from the second team's coach. This seems to make a lot of sense at first glance. Wait. Ten Hag was almost swayed by Amrabat. "Don, just give me a definite answer. Only you know best whether you're a possession-based midfielder or what type of player you are." Me. Tang Yi pointed to his nose, looking a little anxious. "I don't know." "Okay, you win." Ten Hag covered his face with his hands. Only now did he realize that the young genius he had brought from the second team was not just a lazy pig. And it's also. What a stupid pig. He didn't even know what kind of job he did. "Hey." Amrabat nudged Tang Yi with his elbow. "You should say you're a ball-controlling midfielder, then Eric will let you play." Tang Yi shook his head, "But I really don't know if I am or not." Although Tang Yi seemed to have said something wrong, his remarks had piqued Ten Hag's interest in him. In Ten Hag's memory, Tang Yi was a little genius who was good at running and positioning, and had a little bit of outside foot skills. He impulsively brought him to the first team without considering the guy's overall playing style. Since that's the case, let's warm up now. We're going to have a 5v5 match later, a small-sided game. The pace might be a bit fast, so remember to warm up thoroughly. The warm-up match began, and Tang Ye's Group C was assigned 2 midfielders and 3 forwards, while the opposing team had 3 midfielders, 1 forward and 1 defender. Assistant coach Van der Gatch deliberately had 1 less midfielder in Group C than in Group D, in order to give Tang Ye more possession of the ball. You said you consider yourself a possession-based midfielder, so let's see how you handle these possessions. 20 minutes later, the training session ended, and Ten Ha picked up a pencil and began scribbling in his notebook. This is an analysis report about Tang Ye. 1. Excellent visibility, you can find almost any open space in the attacking third on a 5-a-side pitch. 2. Extremely poor discipline, dislikes eating in the first team's canteen. 3. Possesses some ball protection ability, but it is not very strong. In conclusion. When he wrote the word conclusion, Ten Hach's pen suddenly stopped. He discovered a very serious problem. Even as the head coach of an Eredivisie team, he couldn't determine what type of player Tang Ye was. 2 days later, on August 16 Amsterdam time, the second round of the Eredivisie began, with Utrecht hosting Heerenveen. Utrecht took the lead in the first half thanks to Haller's penalty, but in the 56th minute of the second half, Amrabat committed a handball foul, giving the opponent a penalty, making the score 1-1. The sudden goal boosted the morale of the Heerenveen players on the field, and in the last 70 minutes, the away team completed a comeback against the home team. 2 consecutive losses. After 2 disastrous matches at the start of the season, Ten Hag has been thrust into the spotlight by Utrecht fans. Of course, Chinese fans are also very dissatisfied with Ten Hag. Utrecht's attack was absolutely awful, honestly, they might as well have let Monk go up and kick them. Amrabat, who was promoted at the same time as Tang Ye, is also a talent. He directly committed a handball in the second first-team match. That evening, the lights were still on in an office at the Utrecht base. Ten Hag and Van der Gatch sat together, neither of them looking too happy. It would have been better if we had a larger transfer budget during the summer transfer window. Ten Hag sighed helplessly, if we had even one midfielder who could hold on to the ball, we wouldn't still be at 0 points. We seem to have a midfielder who controls the ball. Sitting opposite him, Van der Gatch whispered a reminder, while Ten Hag hugged his bald head with both hands. You mean you want me to bring a lazy pig on as a substitute? My God, when the fans see that I brought a lazy pig to the first team, they'll curse me to death. Ten Hag is very concerned about his image, which is why he always tries to justify himself in post-match interviews after losing a game. No, they won't scold you. Everyone saw Tang's 2 passes in the warm-up match. The reserve team fans saw them, and of course the first team fans will know too. Van der Gatch explained, it's perfectly reasonable for a player to be promoted to the first team because of 2 brilliant passes, you don't really need to worry about what the fans will say. Upon hearing Van der Gar's words, Ten Hag did not immediately refute them. That is indeed the case. Perhaps we could really put that lazy pig up there and give it a try. Anyway, Tang Ye is registered in the Dutch second division. If he doesn't perform well, Ten Hag can just send that lazy pig back. Then let's give it a try. Over the next few days, Tang Ye gradually integrated into the first team's training. Of course, this integration refers to integration during training matches. Tang Ye's cooperation with his teammates in the first team is becoming increasingly seamless. The teamwork was indeed excellent, but Tang Ye's problem of being late had not been improved, which was why he still couldn't get into the first team's canteen even though he had been with the first team for half a month. At 37 years old, you still insist on training with the team, and your skills have improved. Positioning, 6970. Shots on goal, 4445. This thing is really hard to upgrade. Tang Ye sighed, saying that he trained with the first team for almost half a month and only managed to increase his attribute points by 2 points. Hey everyone, come here for a second. Van der Gatch gathered the players together, a thick notebook in his hand. Tomorrow, the 23rd, we have our third round match away against ADO Den Haag. Mr. Eric and I have already finalized the roster, please take notes. The list has been released. Amrabat clenched his fist, he conceded a penalty in the last match, and it remains to be seen whether he will make the squad today. First and foremost, it's the starting lineup. Van der Gatch glanced around at the players in front of him, then began to read from his notebook. Goalkeeper, Ruiz. Defenders, Ngagnoni, Cum, Lecter, Van der Merel, Kleber. Midfielders, Ramselaar, Jansen, Ayoub. Forwards, Haller and Beresit. The starting lineup remained largely unchanged, and Van der Gatch began reading the substitutes list. This was the most anxious moment. Amrabat's palms were already sweating. However, Tanguy doesn't need to worry about that. If Ten Hag won't even let him into the cafeteria, how can he be included in the competition roster? The defender is Cortez, and you're the only one. Forwards Peterson and Ruin, you too. There will be slightly more midfielders. Demos, Streed, Ludwig, and Don, that's it. Snap. Van der Gatch closed his notebook, and at the same time, a familiar voice echoed in Tanyé's mind. My God, at 37, you've chosen to make a comeback in the Eredivisie. This is the best way to refute your haters. Those despicable haters have been calling you a lazy pig since you were 16, now is the perfect time to prove them wrong. You have obtained the Brazilian treasure chest, advanced. Ding. Senior citizen card, your rewards have been upgraded. You have obtained, the Brazilian treasure chest, superstar. Chapter 12 Why would I, a ball-controlling midfielder, need tackling skills? Beginner chest, peak value below 15 million euros. Intermediate treasure chest, value 15 million euros to 30 million euros. Premium treasure chest, value 30 million euros to 70 million euros. Superstar chest, worth 70 million euros plus. You've been tackled by Casemiro. Defense, 4055. Physical confrontation, 5261. Holy crap. Tanguy suddenly frowned. He had heard of Casemiro. He was a Real Madrid player whose market value was estimated to be around 10 million euros. The system has included him in the superstar chest, meaning this player's future market value could reach at least 70 million euros. This is truly amazing. However, Tanguy now has a problem. A very serious problem. Isn't he a possession-based midfielder? What's the point of his tackling skills? On the day of the match, half an hour before the game started, Chinese fans saw the team's match roster on Utrecht's official Twitter account. Number 99, Monko, was prominently featured. Mongolia is here, brothers. Bet on The Hague to win, it's guaranteed. You look down on me, Mongol, don't you? Playing in the Dutch Eredivisie at 16. Wow, does Ten Hag have that kind of guts? Is this just boldness? No, this is wisdom. Ten Hag is capable. Holy crap, I don't want to see a 16-year-old Chinese player playing in the Dutch Eredivisie, do I? Those who don't understand football all bet on ADO Den Haag to win. But someone like me who knows football would bet on Utrecht to win by the 80th minute, odds of 1 hour 80 minutes. That'll scare you to death, ha ha ha. Okay, good evening everyone. Tonight's live broadcast is the third round of the Eredivisie, the match between ADO Den Haag and Utrecht. Based on the historical head-to-head record between the two teams, Utrecht hasn't beaten ADO Den Haag in the last year, so I recommend betting on the home team to remain unbeaten. Wang Chao offered his analysis of the match. Of course, there's another key point in this game. Tanguy appeared on the team's roster before the match. To show my support for the Chinese players, I'm donating 100 to this match and betting on Utrecht to win. Upon learning that Tang Yehue would be performing, the fans in Wang Chao's live stream suddenly became nervous. Gamblers are most afraid of this kind of bluff. The director was very considerate, focusing the camera on Tanguy and Amrabat sitting on the bench. Both players were promoted from the reserve team, but unlike Tanguy, Amrabat got playing time in the first round of the league, clearly indicating that he is more favored by Ten Hag. Beep. At the start of the first half, the home team ADO Den Haag immediately launched an attack on Utrecht. In the 34th minute, Havenaar scored a header, giving ADO Den Haag a 1-0 lead over Utrecht. Damn it! Ten Hag suddenly raised his hands. He was very unhappy with the goal his team conceded. They'd been holding out for 30 minutes, and of all times, something went wrong. Holy crap, that's awesome. Tang Ye's eyes widened in disbelief. This was the first time he had watched a Dutch Eredivisie match up close from the bench. That speed. That impact. Tang Yi had a feeling that these 1.9-meter tall players on the field would kick him from time to time. It's okay, don't be nervous. Amrabat, speaking from experience, comforted Tang Yi, saying, don't try to find opportunities to shine on your first substitute appearance, just play the game honestly. It's fine. Tang Yi leaned back in his chair like an old man. He knows his own level, and Ten Hag also knows his own level. Putting him in a match of this caliber is undoubtedly giving the opponent an opportunity. At the start of the second half, Utrecht, trailing behind, launched a counterattack against The Hague. In the 62nd minute, Utrecht earned a corner kick. Ramselaar, take the corner kick. Allez. Allez. Header, missed, but he followed up with his foot, beautiful. Although he knew that betting on the away team to win was a donation, Wang Chao was still quite excited to see the away team player score a goal. Why are you excited? Because if the game ends in a draw, those who bet on The Hague to win in the live stream won't make any money. I can afford not to have money for foot baths, but I can't just stand by and watch you go get your feet washed. This is the greatest disrespect to Happy Bean players. Nice shot. Ten Hag applauded Halle on the field, then shouted and gestured. Having just scored a goal, Utrecht players are currently at their peak morale. Ten Hag wants to use this opportunity to take the lead. Turning to the substitutes bench, Sofian, Amrabat, Rubio, Ruven, you two go warm up. Yes, and... Ten Hag's gaze swept across the bench, finally landing on Tang Yi, who was lounging with his legs crossed. Lazybones, you warm up too. In the footage, Tang Yi takes off his jacket and puts on a yellow vest, and cheers suddenly erupt from the stands. Not only the home team fans, but also the home team's coaching staff were in the same situation. ADO Den Haag coach Colt glanced at Tang Yi, who was stretching on the sidelines, and then gave his gaze to Ten Hag. No, I'm playing a proper Eredivisie match with you, what do you mean by putting a 16-year-old on the field? Sir, we've been mocked. The assistant coach whispered something in Colt's ear, while simultaneously informing the team's head coach about Tang Yi's situation. Very lucky. What kind of characteristic is that? Tell me what type of player he is. The assistant coach thought about it carefully and finally replied, he should be an attacking midfielder. Should be. Den Haag. The Hague. Bang. Bang. Den Haag. The Hague. Bang. Bang. The cheers from the fans in the stadium grew louder and louder, and the game became increasingly intense. Despite their relentless attacks, Utrecht still hadn't scored by the 80th minute. The score remains tied at 1-1. Ten Hag looked at the players warming up beside him and prepared to make substitutions, Ruvio, and Sophie. When Amrabat was mentioned, Ten Hag paused for a moment. The situation is now deadlocked, and bringing on a defensive midfielder doesn't seem to make much difference. Since that's the case. Tang, get ready to go on stage. Oh. Upon hearing his name, Tang Yi raised an eyebrow. Indeed, hard work always pays off. His Eredivisie debut is coming. The substitutions at Utrecht, Ruwen replaced Balazet, and Tang Yi replaced Ayoub. Oh my god, Tang Yi is really on the field. In the 82nd minute of the match, after high-fiving Ayoub, Tang Yi jogged slowly back to his position at the urging of Ten Hag. Mengu is here. Anyone betting on 1-2 in this match? Watch me, Mengu, use the outside of my foot to give you a foot bath. Playing in the Dutch Eredivisie at 16. I remember Tang Yi was still on a youth training contract, right? The youth training contract isn't important, what's important is that Tang Yi can make a lucky shot. Utrecht can't score now, and Ten Hag is hoping Tang Yi will step up and make a lucky shot. I'm laughing so hard. A Dutch Eredivisie coach expecting a 16-year-old player to just throw up a kick. Don't you think what you said is ridiculous? Watching Tang Yi slowly run towards the stadium, Ten Hag gripped the fabric of his clothes tightly with his hand in his pocket. Tang, once you kick Meng out, you can eat in the first team's canteen from now on. Chapter 13 Mongo's Eredivisie debut. After Tang Yi took the field, he began to observe the situation. Utrecht really want to win today, so they'll have a lot of players in the attacking third. What does this tell us? This means that Tang Yi only needs to sneak to the back, and he will touch the ball very few times. Just 3 minutes after Tang Yi came on, Utrecht launched a sudden attack down the flank, with Ruwen breaking through Mayersch on the right wing. Ruwen dribbles the ball towards the center. Alai started making his move. Ruwen passes the ball. Haller, charge into the penalty area from the edge of the box. He received the pass from Ruwen, and then break down the door. Goal! Goal! Hale's goal. Utrecht has taken the lead in the final moments. Haller scores his second goal. 2:1. Wang Chao and some of the fans in the live broadcast room were very excited. These excited people have one thing in common. That means they all bet on the away team to win alone or the away team to win 2-1. Ha ha ha. The Utrecht players began to slowly run towards the corner flag, and Tang Yi and his teammates hugged each other tightly. Wow, wasn't it said that Utrecht couldn't beat The Hague? Answerer, you told us to bet on ADO Den Haag to win, then you turned around and said you supported Chinese players while betting on Utrecht. Answerer, you're inhuman. Wow, is Tang Yi really that good? The team took the lead as soon as he came on. The person upstairs suspects I'm a shill, daring to smear my Mengu. Don't they know the streamer is a Mengu fan? He played for 3 minutes and had 0 touches. Isn't Munko supposed to be an attacking midfielder? Why is he hiding in the back? Is this part of Ten Hag's tactics? Utrecht suddenly took the lead, and Colt is now extremely nervous. Take a look at the sign the fourth official is holding. It is now the 87th minute of the match. There were quite a few fouls in today's game, and if you include stoppage time, there should still be about 7 or 8 minutes left in the game. 8 minutes was enough to bring the score back. Colt complained to the referee that Utrecht used his celebration to delay the game, and Haller, who had just scored his second goal, received a yellow card as a result. The Utrecht players were somewhat dissatisfied, but they remained silent. The key now is to hold on to the 2-1 lead. Utrecht suffered 2 consecutive defeats at the start of the season and still have 0 points. They really wanted to get those 3 points. Back up, stand closer together. Ten Hag kept directing from the sidelines, but ADO Den Haag was ultimately the stronger team overall. They are launching a major counterattack against Utrecht. Near the center circle, Christensen controlled the ball, constantly observing and looking for an opportunity. At this moment, Alberg, who had run to the wing, reached out for the ball. Snap! Christensen played a through ball to Alberg on the left flank of Utrecht, who then made a powerful run and started his breakthrough. Ramselaar reacted quickly, realizing his goal might be under threat, and the Dutch midfielder immediately ran towards Alberg. Alberg passed the ball to the middle. The ball is currently in possession of ADO Den Haag centre forward, Hafenaar. The central area is open. Where is Utrecht's defensive midfielder? Defensive midfielder? Why is Tang Yi the closest to Hafenaar? Tang Yi, run. Run faster. Tang Yi, what's going on? Running, moving around, Tang Yi is moving around. Tang Yi is still positioning himself. Tang Dynasty Water Charm, Golden Impression, Tranquil Waterscape. Tanya, damn it. I'm unfollowing. I'm not playing anymore. Anyone who's a fan of Tang Yi is an idiot. In the shot, Hafenaar passes the ball to the advancing Duplan, who, thanks to his excellent positioning, faces Utrecht's 2 centre-backs head-on. Because their attention was drawn to the attacking players on the flanks, Utrecht's 2 centre-backs were still quite a distance from Duplant. There is a gap between the defender and the player with the ball. This means that Duplan can now shoot directly at the goal. However, just as Duplan slowed down to prepare to swing his leg, a player wearing a blue away jersey sneaked up from his left rear. This is Tang Yi. Stop him, stop him. Ten Hag shouted from the sidelines, just foul him, it's fine, just take him down. If Duplanty shoots at this moment, it will pose a very high threat to Utrecht's goal. Ten Hag's idea was to get Tang Yi to commit a foul and receive a yellow card, turning Duplan's long-range shot opportunity into a free kick. Given the poor free kick performance of Eredivisie players, conceding a free kick would actually be safer for Utrecht. Tang Yi was very focused and did not hear Ting Ha's shout. Facing Duplan with the ball, Tang Yi suddenly fell to the side, his right thigh landing on the ground while his left leg swung out. Snap! Tang Yi successfully intercepted the ball in front of Duplant, and the kick he threw startled Duplant, who jumped up on his own initiative. After losing his balance, the Ado Den Haag striker staggered a few steps and finally fell to the ground. Damn it. Holy crap, perfect tackle, so clean, there's no suspicion of a foul at all. I'm an idiot, I'm a fucking idiot. Tang Yi, king of football, you are the fucking king of football. No. Can Monk do this? Master, what do you do for a living? Wow, that tackle looks really skillful. Did Tang Yi secretly practice it during training? No wonder Ten Hag had Tang Yi play as a defensive midfielder today, turns out he has a tackling skill up his sleeve. Holy crap, holy crap. Wang Chao's heart raced, but looking at the odds of 2.7 times for a Utrecht win, he wasn't particularly excited. On the contrary, he now deeply regrets it. I regret it so much. Because he only bought 100 yuan worth. Damn it. Wang Chao clasped his hands tightly. Knowing that Tang Yi was on the roster, they still only bet 100 yuan on Utrecht to win. What's this? This is disrespectful to the king of football. The football legend asked me to wash his feet, but what did I do? I only bought 100 yuan worth. Damn it. Wang Chao was overwhelmed by a sudden feeling of guilt. Are you alright, bro? I didn't mean to. Tang Yi saw Duplan rolling around on the ground and quickly ran over to help her up. Duplan wanted to curse, but Tang Yi's tackle was just too clean. What's the most outrageous thing? The most incredible thing is that Tang Yi practically walked over and tackled Duplan to the ground. What is this? Ten Hag pointed at Tang Yi on the field, then looked at Van der Gatch beside him. He can do this too. Hiss, this. Van der Gatch frowned. Logically speaking, he shouldn't have made that tackle. Logically speaking. Ten Hag shrugged at Van der Gatch. Did you see that tackle? I just walked over and brought the opposing player down. That level of skill would take at least 4 or 5 years of practice, right? Well, no, it's hard to say. Ten Hag suddenly thought of something. If other players were to do this, it would almost certainly mean they were secretly practicing extra. But the person standing on the field is Tang Yi. How could he possibly be doing extra training? This must have been a fluke too. Ten Hag gave his assessment. 2 minutes passed. Tang Yi, right wing, tackle, beautiful. It's Duplan who's fallen. Tang Yi is apologizing to Duplan. Van der Gatch turned to look at Ten Hag, but said nothing. Hiss. Feel. Something feels off. Chapter 14, the clothes haven't loaded yet. 16-year-old Chinese player makes his Eredivisie debut as a substitute in the 82nd minute. A series of tackles sends the young Chinese player making his debut, leaving his opponents begging for mercy. Because of his limited playing time, Tang Yi did not receive his post-match rating from a reporter at the Utrecht Evening Post. But it doesn't matter, he already has a rating on Hupu. Tang Yi, 82 foot. 4 touches, 2 tackles, rating 10.0. Geniuses are not scary, what's scary is a genius who has fallen from grace. Utrecht training base, canteen for the second/youth team. Oh my god, Tang, a tackle. You can do that too. Zaka looked at Tang Yi in front of him with an indescribable look of surprise on his face. He had known Tang Yi for over a year, but he had never heard that Tang Yi had this trick up his sleeve. Tang Yi was eating his food without paying attention when Melent walked over to him. Tang, do you still remember our promise? Ah. Tang Yi was stunned for a moment. Did he and Melent have some kind of agreement? Hey, you haven't forgotten, have you? Melent sat down next to Tang Yi. You told me that if the first team training is too tiring, you'll come back. Like Utrecht's first team, the reserve team also had a poor start to the season in the Dutch second division. They haven't won a single match in the last 3 rounds and have been relegated to the relegation zone. Team 2 needs heroes. Or rather, they need a monk who can help them open up the offensive situation. Lost memories suddenly flooded Tang Ye's mind. It seems that this did happen, but I don't think I'll be coming back. Tang Ye's words stunned Melent. Why? I am not the same person I used to be. Tang Ye's expression was serious. I'm training very seriously now, and I'm not slacking off anymore. Melent pointed at Tang Ye's plate. Then why don't you eat in the first team's canteen? Weren't you punished by Eric? That's a rumor. I only came here to eat because I have friends in the second team. Tang Ye looked into Melent's eyes, and the firm look in his eyes made Melent feel somewhat dazed. The lazybones in Utrecht have finally woken up. In the afternoon, Ten Hag conducted a detailed analysis of the match from the day before yesterday, and then had the players train for the day. Tang Ye also received his mission. At 37, you made your debut in the Dutch top league, your indomitable spirit proclaiming your fighting spirit. Of course, you are not ready to stop, you can do even more. Make 3 appearances or score 1 goal in the Eredivisie to unlock the Old Man's Shop section. Old Deng Store. The reward for this system is neither attribute points nor player chests from any particular country, but rather unlocking a new section of the system. Just by looking at the name, Tang Ye knew that this so-called Old Deng's Shop was probably a place to consume comeback points. He scored a goal in a preseason friendly against the second team and earned 15 comeback points, which he hasn't used yet. Hey, Tang! Ale shouted and then passed the ball with the instep of his foot. Tang Ye, who had reacted quickly, managed to control the ball. Don't get distracted. Ten Hatch shouted, while drawing a large circle over the word Tang in his notebook and writing the word discipline on it. After the ADO Den Haag match, Ten Hag showed unprecedented attention to Tang Ye, with the Dutch coach even having his assistant coach, Van der Gatch, give Tang Ye extra training sessions. The goal is simple, to get this 16-year-old to the level of the Dutch Eredivisie as soon as possible. Amazing passing vision and impeccable tackling and interception abilities are exactly what Utrecht needs right now. Under Van der Gatch's tutelage, Tang Ye has made great progress in both his ball skills and physical condition. But the 2 coaches in Utrecht now have another problem. That's Tang Ye's discipline. After finishing dinner, Tang Ye went straight back to the second team's dormitory. Utrecht does not provide dormitories for first-team players, they all have their own residences, so Tang Ye continued to live in the reserve team dormitory after being promoted to the first team. It should have been a very peaceful night, but suddenly someone knocked on Tang Ye's door. Knock knock. Tang Ye stood up from his chair and ran to the door to open it. Sock, I don't play games, find someone else. Tang Ye was stunned when he opened the door and saw the person standing outside. Eric? Is it convenient for me to come in? Ten Hatch pointed inside the room, indicating that he wanted to come in. Tang Ye, of course, did not refuse the head coach's request and welcomed Ten Hag. It's only 7 o'clock. Shouldn't you go for a walk or ride a bike after you finish eating? People around here like to ride bikes after meals. I think you could try it too. Ten Hatch sat down in the chair. In his view, Tang Ye's age is precisely the time when he needs the most training. If only we could convince Tang Ye to practice extra tonight. A versatile ball-controlling midfielder who can both defend and attack, isn't that exactly what Utrecht needs right now? But I'm not a local, after all. Tang Ye sat down on the bed. The Dutch like to ride bicycles, what does that have to do with a foreigner like him? Okay, yes, your computer is on. Ten Ha pointed to the laptop on Tang Ye's desk, the screen displaying the head of an alien. Several exercise books were also placed next to the computer. Tang Ye sometimes needed to do his homework on the desk. Oh, that? I usually like to watch game replays when I have free time, and then reflect on them. Wow. Ten Hatch's eyes lit up, and he gestured for him to speak. Come on, turn on your computer and let me see what kind of match recordings you've been watching. Tang Ye was late for training every day, and Teng He thought that this guy was just a lazy bum with no ambition. Unexpectedly, he would watch past game recordings at night to reflect on himself. Ten Hatch has wronged Tang Ye. Okay. Tang Ye stood up and opened his notebook. Previously, Melent had all the reserve team players download a video of a Dutch second division match, and now is the time to use that video. However, what Tang Ye didn't know was that the system playback software would automatically play what he hadn't finished watching last time. Thus, a naked man and a naked woman confronted each other under Ten Hag's gaze. This is a video of a match, and the level of the game must have been quite high, because the intensity of the physical confrontation is something that most people can't withstand. What's this? Ten Ha pointed at the computer, looking at Tang Yi beside him with a surprised expression. Cough. Tang Yi quickly switched the view. The network is a bit laggy, the clothes haven't loaded yet. Wait for me a moment. Yes, this is the video I wanted to show you. Chapter 15 The Teachings of Ten Hatch. Ten Hatch was a little embarrassed. Tang Yi offered to show him the actual training videos, but he waved his hand and refused. Tang, come here, listen to me. Ten Hag looked into Tang Ye's eyes. You're only 16 years old, an age when you should be striving. You have significant shortcomings, from your ball skills to your physical techniques. You need to spend time training. Evenings are a great time, you can use them to improve your ball control or train your ability to withstand physical contact. Halfway through the conversation, Ten Hatch suddenly realized something was amiss, so he added, not that kind of confrontation, but that kind of confrontation, you know what kind of confrontation I'm talking about. I know. Tang Yi quickly replied. Yes, you have to remember, 16 is the most crucial time in a player's future. If you don't work hard now, what will you do later? Play in Europe until you're 20, then go back to China, play for a few more years, and retire in the Chinese league in your 30s. Are you willing to accept this? Tang, you need to work harder. As Tang Ye's coach, Ten Ha needs to take responsibility for encouraging Tang Yi to train harder. But Tang Yi is not a super genius after all, and Ten Hag cannot really pin his hopes for the team's revival on him. After a brief chat, Ten Ha left the dormitory. On August 29th, in the fourth round of the Dutch Eredivisie, Utrecht played against Groningen. Okay, guys, I found the footage half an hour in advance today, so the quality should be alright, right? The match is about to begin. Host, what's the direction for today? Didn't you see Tang Chiwang on the list? There's only one direction today, and that's Utrecht winning alone. Sure, thanks to King Tang for the gift. I played 3 extra hours yesterday, and my feet are a bit peeling. Don't show off, upstairs, but are you sure it's just peeling skin on your feet? Tang Yi is impressive. His tackle in the last match earned him Ten Hag's trust. I heard there's a really awesome player playing abroad, so I watched a 2-hour live stream specifically to check it out. If you don't understand, just ask, how amazing is this Tang Yi that you guys are praising? Let's put it this way, with other players, you spend money on them, but Tang is different, Tang can make money for you. Tang Yi and Amrabat sat together on the bench, and the match started soon after. Utrecht's luck has been really bad, their opponent today is Groningen, one of the strongest teams this season. 4 consecutive matches against strong teams. The camera focused on Ten Hag, whose expression was serious. From the moment he took over as coach of Utrecht, Ten Hatch has never been able to relax. Utrecht. Bang. Bang. Utrecht. Bang. Bang. The stadium in Utrecht has more than 20,000 seats, and today's attendance was approximately 15,000. Despite a poor start to the season, this did not deter fans from supporting the team. The match has reached the 20th minute. Ramseyler's mistake in the attacking third was capitalized on by De Rost. Move forward, find an opening, and pass the ball to Lin Sen on the left wing. Lin Sen passes again. Give it to center forward Delo. Groningen's attack was very fluid, which put pressure on Utrecht's defense. Van der Merel, move forward and block Dro's path. Very good, Groningen's counterattack failed, and Utrecht's defense has started to retreat. Dro passes to Antonia. Antonia. Long shot. Phew, that was close. The fans in the live stream breathed a sigh of relief. Following the streamer's advice, most of them bought Utrecht. If the Bean Warriors fall behind in Utrecht, they will be in a very bad mood. These defenders from Utrecht are fucking terrible. Wang Chao started his trolling mode, and the match had been going on for more than 10 minutes. In just over 10 minutes, Utrecht's goal was repeatedly threatened. It's no wonder that Utrecht's performance has been poor in recent years. The players on the field were completely sleepwalking. The camera focused on Tang Yi on the bench, and Wang Chao's eyes suddenly lit up. To be honest, this Ayub is not as good as Tang Yi. Why can't we let Tang Yi play? Teng Hag, listen to the fans' advice. Shang Tongye. Bean Warriors are a very pure group of people, their suggestions are absolutely objective and fair. Eric Ten Hatch, don't you understand? Now is the time to put my Mumko on. In the 35th minute, the broadcaster presented the statistics for both teams. Groningen, playing away, had 62% possession. This match is calling for a possession-based midfielder. Ten Hag turned his head, pointed to a few midfielders and forwards to warm up, and finally came to Tang Yi. Do you think you can do it? Forehead. Tang Yi glanced at the situation on the field, then gave an ambiguous reply, it should be okay, right? Then you should warm up too. After more than 30 minutes, the score was still 0-0, and fans who bet on the number of goals were already silently shedding tears. Good news. Utrecht number 99 is warming up. The game has entered the second half. Utrecht, playing at home, has managed to regain some ground, but the situation remains far from optimistic. In a 5-3-2 formation with 5 midfielders and forwards, only Haller's performance met the requirements of the Eredivisie. What are you sending? The ball flew past him, and Haller turned around and unleashed a torrent of abuse on Ayub, who had passed the ball. Actually, Haller has a pretty good temper, but unfortunately Ayub didn't make many normal passes in this game. It's understandable that the through ball was intercepted by the opponent. But what does it mean when a long pass goes directly out of bounds? Mine. After being scolded by the team leader, Ayub raised his hand in embarrassment and apologized. It wasn't that he deliberately passed the ball out of bounds, it's just that when someone is out of form, it's really hard to handle, plus Haller is known for being quite demanding of midfielders. Ayub had no choice. He can't just pass the ball straight through the entire opposing defense, can he? The match has reached the 77th minute, and the score remains 0-0. Groningen's coaching staff had a brief discussion on the bench and prepared to push the defensive line forward in the next session. It's obvious to anyone with eyes that, apart from Ramsey, none of Utrecht's midfielders pose any real threat. In that case, we should simply pull the defensive line forward. Can't score. Let the defenders support the forwards, surely that will lead to a goal. Seeing their opponents gradually pressing into their own half, Ten Hag realized that Groningen was making a final desperate attempt. The Dutch coach had no tactical preparations for the final moments, all he could do was adjust the players on the field. In the 79th minute of the match, Amrabat and Tongye came on at the same time. Chapter 16 Tangye's assist for the winning goal, this is the midfield I've been looking for. After sitting on the bench for more than 70 minutes, finally getting a chance to play should have been a very happy thing. But Tang Yi couldn't be happy. The reason is that Groningen put too much pressure on them in the last few minutes. Tang Yi has to start running, because everyone else is running. In the shot, Antonia receives a pass from Linsen, then combines with Shearez, gets past Ramsier, and runs towards the edge of Utrecht's penalty area. Utrecht's central defense was consistently tight, so Antonia couldn't find an opportunity immediately after receiving the ball. Antonia moved laterally at the top of the arc. He's looking for an opportunity. Tangye's eyes were bright as he slowly ran over from the front. There's someone behind us. Drosty shouted, signaling Antonia to be careful of Tang Yi, who was about to steal a chicken from behind. Antonia dribbled the ball to the left wing, glancing back at Tang Yi as he did so. Their eyes met, and Tang Yi, who had been discovered, felt somewhat embarrassed. It feels like a 37-year-old middle-aged man trying to ambush someone but getting caught. It's alright, you can go ahead. Ramsilar pointed towards the attacking third, then ran toward Antonia. Since the midfield maestro was giving instructions like this, Tang Yi didn't stand idly by and took the initiative to go up front to create space. It can only be said that Ramsilar is indeed very experienced. Together with Van der Merel, he successfully took the ball away from Antonia. Ramsier, turn with the ball. Start observing. Alai, Balazit, and Tanya standing in the middle. In perfect position, Ramsier delivered a precise pass to Tang Yi. It's now the 86th minute of the match. Mengu, please, Mengu, save me this once. I'm really going to jump if the home team doesn't win. Tang Yi, save me. Just one kick, please, just one. To be honest, with the score still 0-0 in the 86th minute, only the fans could stand watching such a boring match. Bean Warrior not only watched it, but he watched it very attentively. Because this is their qualifying round. The qualifying round from Bean Warrior to Bean God of War. After receiving the ball, Tang Yi turned around decisively. Xia Lei, who was standing next to him, reacted quickly and reached out to grab Tang Yi. A month ago, Tang Yi might have already been stopped, but not now. In the past month, Van der Gatch has put Tang Yi through a lot of physical training. Of course, there's also the most crucial Casemiro tackling template. This template gives him even better combat capabilities. Fuck you. Tang Yi had a positional advantage, so he used his shoulder to push and successfully knocked Xia Lei aside. On the sidelines, Ten Hag raised an eyebrow and said to Van der Gatch beside him, "That's the effect of targeted training." Tang Yi was still dribbling the ball, he hadn't even passed the center circle yet, and logically he should have continued dribbling forward. However, Tang Yi discovered a serious problem. Groningen's defenders were faster than him, and if he continued dribbling, he would definitely be stopped. Therefore, to avoid unnecessary running, Tang Yi started running directly. Tang Yi is dribbling the ball, Tang Yi is. Dude, what are you doing? Is Tang Yi going to do a lob shot? Don't mess around. Bean Warrior is very nervous right now. With the goalkeeper so close to the goal, even if a lob shot goes into the goal frame, it will be useless. However, Tang Yi's kick was not actually a shot. Snap. With the outside of his foot, he flicked the ball, which had been rolling on the grass, into the air. It went past Groningen's midfield and past Groningen's defense. At last. We've come to Alai's feet. Wow. Alai exclaimed in surprise. He had just discovered the gap and tried running towards it. But he didn't expect Tang Yi to actually pass the ball to that position. With a snap, Haller unloaded the ball. Facing the onrushing goalkeeper. Push it directly to the far corner. Goal. Goal. Winning goal. Utrecht scores the winning goal. Alai. No, Tang Yi is awesome. Holy crap. I'm a fucking idiot, I'm fucking blind. This was a pass, and Tang Yi helped the team secure the game-winning goal. The camera focused on Haller, the Ivorian striker who immediately ran back into the halfway line after scoring. He was looking for Tang Yi. Beautiful, that's exactly how it feels. Alai held Tang Yi's head in both hands, then pressed his forehead against Tang Yi's head. Compared to the 1.91 meter tall Alai, Tang Yi, who is only 1.74 meters tall, was powerless to resist. That's exactly the kind of pass I want. Ale put his hand under Tang Yi's armpit and lifted the 16-year-old player up. Bang 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 bang. The commotion in the stands was quite loud, and some fans had even started chanting Tang Yi's name. I said it. Ten Hag shrugged at Van der Gatch. I told you we needed to create a special training plan for him. Only a special training plan can help a player improve his skills the fastest. But Van der Gatch pointed out, our training program is geared towards the body. This pass has nothing to do with physicality, it's pure talent, isn't it? What do you know? Without enough strength, could he have passed the ball that far? Ten Hag clapped and cheered. This was one of the most spectacular passes in the Eredivisie this season. The most amazing one, bar none. Tom. Ten Hag shouted at Tang Yi on the field. He was going to shout Tang, but he unconsciously shouted Tom instead. You can come to the first team's canteen for training the day after tomorrow. Upon hearing Tang Hei's voice, Tang Yi's eyes lit up, and he finally smiled. Since being promoted to the first team, he has only eaten lunch in the first team canteen once. The food there is incomparable to what the second team's canteen offers. Tang Yi had always wanted to go back, but Tang Ha had been forbidding him from doing so. Now we can finally eat in the first team's canteen. I'm in tears, brothers, I'm really in tears. Do you know that feeling? Standing on the rooftop, about to walk forward, and someone grabs you a second later. Is this a U17 player? No, this is a football king. Let me do the math, hundreds of thousands. Holy crap, 20,000, awesome. Foster father, Tang Yi, you're my foster father from now on. A lifelong football fan. From now on, if anyone criticizes Tang Yi online, I'll fight them with my family tree. I'm a web novel author, and I type very fast. If anyone insults Tang Yi in the future, I can help Tang Yi verbally abuse the other person to death. My first official jersey ever. I'm betting my first victory on you, Tang Yi. Did you guys see that? Tang Yi was all smiles after Ten Hag called out to him. He's probably going to start in the next game. With Haller's last-minute goal, Utrecht took control of the game. Upon learning that he would be able to work in the first team's canteen, Tang Yi began to run more actively. At this moment, Tang Yi had no idea that his pass had saved 14 lives. Chapter 17. He hasn't reached the level of a genius yet. After the match, Ten Hag gave an interview to local reporters at the Gargenwold Stadium, Utrecht's home ground. Click. Click, click. The press conference was very lively, and the photographers gave Ten Hag extremely high treatment, snapping away so much that the Dutchman couldn't even open his eyes. Eric, the number 99 player who provided the assist in the final moments today, as far as we know, he was just promoted from the reserve team. Did you bring him into the first team because you think he can be given special attention? Yes, that's how it is. We understand that he also made such a brilliant pass in the second team's warm-up match. Is he a genius? Genius? Ten Hag raised an eyebrow. Don is very talented, but he hasn't reached the level of a genius yet. Then how do you explain today's pass? Oh, you mean that pass? That's the result of training. Ten Hag smiled at the reporters. After Tang was promoted to the first team, I developed a special training plan for him, which helped him develop better passing ability. Ah. The reporters looked at each other in bewilderment. It turns out that this pass wasn't due to any special talent, but rather the result of targeted training by the head coach. Ten Hag. A great coach, very capable. Assist in the game-winning goal against Groningen, the prodigy announces his return. Utrecht coach Ten Hag takes responsibility for Tang Yi's pass after he made a spectacular pass. 2 last-minute goals in 4 rounds, Utrecht officially enters the Ten Hag era. The 4th round of the competition brought Tang Yi into the view of more Chinese fans, who were very surprised by this young prodigy. At 16 years old, in the Dutch Eredivisie, he came on as a substitute in garbage time in 2 matches, contributing 1 assist and 2 steals. Thanks to his outstanding performance, Tang Yi successfully entered the first team's canteen. Just like I remember, the first team's canteen has at least 3 times the variety of dishes as the second team's canteen. Tang Yi and Amrabat sat down to eat together. Since they had both been promoted from the second team, they had a lot in common to talk about. Hey, Tang. Alai walked towards Tang Yi with his plate in hand. May I sit here? Okay, of course, it's fine, please sit down. Tang Yi shifted his buttocks slightly inward, making room for Alai on the outside. Alai drank some grapefruit juice and didn't eat anything. He then thanked Tang Yi profusely. Tang, your pass was fantastic, truly fantastic. I never expected you to actually get the ball to that position. Wow, unbelievable. After being praised by his captain, Tang Yi suddenly felt a little embarrassed. You must train hard from now on. Ale put his hand on Tang Yi's shoulder and said earnestly, you need to fight for a starting opportunity with Eri, you know. I'm not doing this for your passes, I'm just doing it for your future. Tang, you're only 16 years old, this is the time when you need to work the hardest. I've been working hard. But you seem to have been late for training today, is that right? I'm trying my best not to be late, and that's a kind of effort too. With 2 weeks to go before Utrecht's next match against Vitesse, Tang Yi took the opportunity to return to China. Because of his age, he is ineligible for a Dutch work visa, which means he is holding a Dutch tourist visa with a validity period of only 3 months. He needs to return to China every 3 months, and then use a new visa to return to Utrecht for training. The process is rather complicated, but Tang Yi has to do it until he turns 18, unless he gives up on studying abroad altogether. Since he wouldn't be staying long, Tang Yi didn't bring a suitcase, he just carried a Nike backpack provided by a sponsor. Thank you, Lutsong, town. Tang Yi tossed his backpack onto the seat next to him, told the driver the address, and then prepared to go to sleep. However, the driver started chatting with him directly. You're only about 15 or 16 years old, traveling abroad alone by plane. Are you a student studying abroad? The airport terminal is divided into domestic and international terminals, so the driver knew that Tang Yi was returning from abroad. No, we're playing football outside. Playing football? Soccer, you mean? The driver initially thought Tang Yi was an international student, but upon hearing that he played football abroad, he instantly lost interest. Football doesn't have much of a future, does it? It's 2015 now, IT is all the rage, you know, computers. I know a little bit about it, it seems pretty impressive, but I don't really understand how to use it. After completing his junior high school studies at a sports school in China, Tang Yi went to the Netherlands. There, he attended a high school in Utrecht that had a partnership with the Netherlands, requiring him to attend only 2 days a week, on weekends. Tang Yi studied 4 subjects in total: Dutch, mathematics, physics, and chemistry, but computer science was not included. Then you should decide to change direction as soon as possible. My classmate's child has a master's degree in computer science and his starting salary is 300,000 yuan a year. The driver shared his experience with Tang Yi from the perspective of someone who had been through it all. If Tang Yi were to play football, he wouldn't be able to reach an annual salary of 300,000 yuan in any league other than the Chinese Super League. Moreover, computer work involves mental labor, which is respected. It's alright, there's no rush, I'll think about it slowly. Tang Yi put on his headphones and stopped talking to the driver. Around 1 p.m., Tang Yi returned home. Because he hadn't told his family beforehand, his mother looked surprised when he bumped into her at the door. Seeing Tang Yi carrying a backpack, Zhang Qingqing quickly took the backpack from him and then laboriously pulled out her phone. Zhengxiong, come down quickly. Come down quickly. Your son is back. Tang Yi. Zhang Qingqing casually placed Tang Yi's backpack on the ground, then hugged Tang Yi tightly, the keychain in her hand ringing incessantly. I'm here. 3 minutes later, Tang Zhengxiong's voice came through. He'd even lost his slippers running along the way. Hey, damn it, wait a minute. Putting on his slippers, Tang Zhengxiong approached Tang Yi. Tang Yi, you've gotten taller. It seems to have gotten a little taller. Tang Yi scratched his head, somewhat embarrassed, and said, I'm only coming back to stay for 1 day this time. Oh, just 1 day. Why? Tang Zhengxiong's smile suddenly froze, and Tang Yi also looked somewhat helpless. I'm in the first team now, and we've changed coaches. That coach only gave me 5 days to change my visa, and I have to leave tomorrow afternoon. Holy crap. Tang Zhengxiong frowned, somewhat annoyed by Tang Yi's coaching. Hey, Qingqing, go get ready, let's go out for a walk, and have dinner together tonight. Oh, I have something to do. Zhang Qingqing pointed to the keychain in her hand, roughly estimating there were 60 or 70 keys. I haven't collected this month's and last month's keys yet. I estimate I won't be back until 8 or 9 p.m. Hey, it's okay, there's no rush. Let's take our son out for a walk first. But I told them I was collecting money today. Tang Zhengxiong waved his hand. We should celebrate. Let's just waive the fees for them today. After saying that, Tang Zhengxiong grabbed Tang Yi's shoulder and said, damn, you've definitely grown taller. You're awesome, you're almost taller than me now. Chapter 18. This is the result of training. Today is the first team's endurance day, and Van der Gatch arranged for the players to do 10 100-meter shuttle runs. A total running distance of 2 kilometers is not a difficult task for Eredivisie players. However, Van der Gatch has requirements for the players' speed. If they run too slowly, they need to do an additional 5 100-meter shuttle runs. Run! Run! As Tang Yi passed by, Tang He shouted a few words at him, which startled Tang Yi, who quickly sped forward. He glanced at his watch and said to Van der Gar beside him, actually, this guy's stamina isn't as bad as we thought, he just feels like he can't run anymore. Ten Hag is right. Although Tang Yi likes to slack off, he is only 16 years old after all, and he can run more than those players in their 30s. You're paying more and more attention to him now. Van der Gatch said with a smile. So much attention is being focused on a player who is only 16 years old. It seems that Ten Hag intends to give Tang Yi a more important position. I feel I can develop him into a decent midfielder, but not now. Ten Hag looked at Tang Yi running on the field and said seriously, maybe in 2 years, or maybe in 3 years. By the way, Eric. Van der Gatch remembered he had something to tell Ten Hag. The management said it was their mistake not to sign a possession-based midfielder in the summer transfer window, so our goals for this season will be a little lower. Last season we finished 10th, this season we just need to make sure we're in the top 12, and they'll figure out how to get the midfielder you want in the winter transfer window. Although the management in Utrecht doesn't do much practical work, they are still quite understanding of Ten Hag. The management can see that, based on Utrecht's performance in the first 4 league matches, even avoiding relegation this season will be a problem. The worst-case scenario is that the first team will be relegated to the Dutch second division, and the second team will be forced to relegate to the Dutch third division. The first 12. Ten Hag muttered to himself. This is the top Dutch football league, and getting into the top 12 is really difficult. September 13th, the 5th round of the Dutch Eredivisie. Welcome back, brothers and friends. It's been a long time since we've had a match in Utrecht. Wang Chao found the live stream source, and the starting players from both teams were still preparing in the player tunnel. As expected, when Wang Chao broadcasted the Utrecht match, the number of viewers in his live stream was at least twice as many as before. That's the influence of Monk. A conservative faction has emerged in the Happy Beans community, and these conservatives are all staunch followers of Monk. Whether or not we can get a foot massage tonight depends on the team's overall performance. Whether or not we can add more time, and how many hours, depends on my brother Meng's actions. Good news, Tang Yi is on the roster. Bet on either a draw in the first half and a win in the second half, or a loss in the first half and a win in the second half. After betting, just sit back and wait for my teammate to pull off the winning goal. I have a question, why does Tang Yi always perform so well in the second half? What about the first half? Idiot, Tang Yi was on the bench in the first half, how can a substitute score a goal? The match began, and against Vitesse, Ten Hag once again deployed his signature 5-3-2 formation. Brothers, I watched the pre-match interviews. Utrecht's coach said he would give Tang Yi more opportunities. We can boldly predict that Tang Yi will get more opportunities in today's match. As commentator Wang Chao said, Tang Yi started warming up in the 30th minute of today's match. Tang Yi's performance as a substitute in the first 2 games helped him gain Ten Hag's trust. He will have more opportunities today. At halftime, Utrecht, playing at home, trailed their opponents 0-1, and the fans in the stands were getting anxious. In the 55th minute of the second half, Tang Yi and Amrabat stood together on the sidelines. Chinese fans were already excited, but the official Dutch commentators were very puzzled by Ten Hag's substitution. What does it mean that Eric brought on a 16-year-old when they were trailing? Utrecht is underestimating their opponent. They will pay the price for this. Slap. Slap. After high-fiving his teammates, Tang Yi chewed gum and ran towards the field, slipping a small white note into Ramsier's hand as instructed by Ten Hag. The note contained the team's tactics for the second half. After bringing on Tang Yi and Amrabat, Utrecht proactively moved their attacking line back. This is because Tang Yi does not have the same strong pressing ability in the attacking third as Janssen, so Utrecht has to play a slightly more conservative game. In the 61st minute, Olenek passed the ball to Nathan. Naten and Tang Yi are having a one-on-one duel on the right flank. Nathan, his body swayed. Show your feint. Nathan has finished eating Tang Yi alive. Damn it. Ten Hag cursed, because he felt that Tang Yi hadn't put in much effort during the entire defensive process, as if he was deliberately letting Nathan pass. However, Tang Yi, who had been beaten, immediately began to chase back. He reached out and tugged at Nathan's jersey, then suddenly collapsed to the ground at the opportune moment. Snap. Tang Yi intercepted Nathan's pass while running. This tackle was very skillful. Tang Yi didn't tackle the ball directly away, but instead kept it close to himself. Stand up and run forward with the ball. Tang Yi was a little scared as Vitesse's 2 attacking midfielders charged toward him, but he had already observed his teammates positioning the moment he stood up. Faced with pressure, Tang Yi made a decisive tackle. Snap! The ball flew towards the left flank, and Haller ran forward while observing where the ball would land. Stop the ball. Cross. Beresit. Push it into the near corner. Goal. Goal. Beresit scores. Haller assists. Utrecht equalizes. Beresit and Ale hugged each other and ran together toward the corner flagpole. This was a goal that equalized the score, but Ten Hag's expression was very serious. He is thinking about it now. Because Nathan got past Tanguy, Vitesse's defense started to push forward, which is why Haller was able to easily pass the ball to Beresit after controlling it. Theoretically it's simple, but it takes a player a lot of time and effort to think through all of this during a high-intensity match. That's practically impossible. While Tanguy was running towards the corner flag to celebrate, Ten Hag called him over and asked, pretending to be angry, "Hey, why did you get beaten by that number 13? Were you daydreaming?" "I wasn't daydreaming." After being scolded by Ten Hag, Tanguy became a little scared, and the originally undisciplined guy immediately stood at attention. "No, that number 13 is too fast, I can't defend him. Letting him get past me gives me a better chance to steal the ball back." And what? "And if he gets past me, the opposing defender will be tricked out of position, which will give Haller an opportunity." Ten Hag didn't speak, but instead asked Tanguy a question, "Do you know why you were able to think of these things?" "This is training, remember, this is the result of training." Tanguy nodded repeatedly. Ten Hag breathed a sigh of relief. It seems this guy really believes it. That's good. Chapter 19. Do you want to be exempt from homework? Is Tanguy really as amazing as you guys say? Wow, incredible. A football king. A football king. I can earn money just by watching Tanguy's games, so mom no longer has to worry about me not finding a job after graduation. College student, already playing Happy Beans in college. You're living the high life. What kind of talk is that? He was already a fan of Tanguy when he went to college. We started much earlier. This person is destined to make a lot of money. Are there any more goals? Are there any more to score? If it's the result of training, then should I play according to the training plan later? Tanguy asked Ten Hag, who denied it without even thinking. No, training is training, and matches are matches. Training makes you stronger, but when you're playing a match, you still need to play according to your own ideas. Ten Hag gave earnest instructions. Although Tanguy always went for walks, Ten Hag could tell. Tanguy can only unleash his full creativity when he is taking a walk. The game is still going on. The score has suddenly been tied, and Vitesse is in a very bad mood right now. By substituting two strikers at the same time, is Vitesse launching a counterattack? Nathan, coordinate with your teammates to press forward. After 60 minutes of hard-fought attacking play, employing every tactic imaginable, the opponent's midfielder launched a long pass and coordinated with the midfield to equalize the score. Vitesse's players and coaches are having a tough time right now. They're going to close the gap in the score. Change seats. Ten Hag shouted a command, and Ramselaar, who received the instruction, ran to the right wing, giving up the central attacking midfield position to Tanguy. The three midfielders on the field, from left to right, are Amrabat, Tanguy, and Ramsel, with Tanguy playing as the only attacking midfielder at the very front. In the 76th minute, Nakamba's mistake was capitalized on by Strider, who passed the ball to Amrabat. Amrabat, begin observation. Olenek came up to intercept, and Amrabat, to be on the safe side, passed the ball to Lecht on the right flank, who was ready to receive it. Lecht then passed the ball to Beresit. This is a counter-offensive by Utrecht. Beresit, he's incredibly fast. Tanguy should run forward and take the top spot at this moment. Tanguy is walking. King Tang is still walking. King of football, what do you want to do? Wang Chao shouted with great passion, originally intending to criticize Tanguy for his passive play, but then Beresit made a spectacular run down the wing, dribbling past two players and immediately drawing all the attention of the audience. Beresit, he's near the goal line. A long pass sent the ball directly to the left wing, where Ngagnoni, who had made a run down the flank, took possession and then began to look for a combination with Haller. Haller received the ball in the penalty area, but was immediately blocked by Kazuya, and now he can't even turn around. In this situation, Alai could only pass the message back, but when he looked up, he suddenly realized that Tang Yi was standing in front of him at some point. "Hey, why don't you give it to me?" Tang Yi reached out to Alai, who, without thinking, kicked the ball directly to Tang Yi's feet. "You really gave it to me?" Tang Yi was somewhat pleased. He used his body to block West's defender and kicked the ball toward the goal. It even saves time on stopping the ball. Tang Yi. WTF. Goal. What is that? GOLLLLLLL. In the 78th minute of the match, Tang Yi scored a goal. At 37, you scored your first goal in the Eredivisie in just 3 games, and your haters were so scared they deleted their accounts. The comeback points shop section is now unlocked. Bonus for scoring a goal, 10 comeback points. Tang Yi stood still in the restricted area, his attention focused on the system's voice in his mind. At this moment, Alai and Balazit rushed over together and hugged Tang Yi tightly. Alai even kept rubbing Tang Yi's hair with his hands. "Tang, why are you here?" "Ha." The camera panned to Vitesse in front of the bench, where the Dutchman, chewing gum, didn't look too good. So far, Tang Yi has only played a total of 45 minutes in the Dutch Eredivisie. He scored 1 goal in 45 minutes of playing time. Rounded off. This player is a pro, averaging 2 goals per game. The referee blew the final whistle, and Utrecht, playing at home, ultimately prevailed, defeating Vitesse 2-1. Although the season didn't start off so well, Utrecht has still managed to secure 3 consecutive wins. The players returned to the locker room one after another, while Ten Hag and Van der Gaag whispered to each other outside. "I plan to give the players a 2-day break so they can experience the benefits of victory." "Sure, you're the coach, I fully support you." Van der Gaag nodded. "Actually, that wasn't what Ten Hag wanted to ask. What I mean is, give the players a break, but not Tang, he wants to stay at the training base for extra training." "Ah." Van der Gaag didn't react for a moment. "That's not fair. All the players get a holiday, but Tang doesn't. He's the hero of today's victory." Etc. Van der Gaag suddenly realized something and stared at Ten Hag in front of him. "You want to speed up the development of Tang? But you said before that you would develop Tang into our starting midfielder in 2 or 3 years. Just a few days ago, do you remember? Are you going to go back on your word now?" Assistant coach Van der Gaag rose through the ranks from the U15 youth training program, and he is well aware of the harm that forcing players to grow too quickly can do. "I know what you mean, but the plans have changed." Ten Hag's expression was serious. "Did you see his movement? His movement, and his vision. What you're saying is the result of training." "Training my ass, isn't this just talent?" Ten Hag practically shouted. "We need to bring out his full potential, strengthen his physical training and tactical awareness, and in another 6 months we can make him a starter." Hiss. Van der Gaag took a deep breath. "Eric, that guy. But what if he doesn't want to train?" Van der Gaag pointed out a very crucial question. "This is a minor issue." Ten Hag smiled. "Tang Yi is definitely a lazy pig. But lazy pigs aren't completely incapable of running. Given enough external pressure, even a lazy pig can run very fast." That evening, Tang Yi received a phone call from his mother, Zhang Qing, and he shared the good news with his family that he had been given a 2-day holiday. This was something to celebrate, but the sudden knocking on the door put Tang Yi under pressure. Only 2 people would knock on his door during this time period. Zaka has gone home. The only one left might be Ten Hag. "Good evening." With a smile, Ten Hag walked into Tang Yi's room with practiced ease. The familiar computer desk, the familiar Alienware laptop. This time, Tang Yi learned his lesson and turned off the computer before opening the door. Ten Hag slowly walked towards the computer desk, which made Tang Yi feel a little pressured. "He's not going to make me turn my computer back on, is he?" Ten Hag raised an eyebrow and picked up a white grid notebook from Tang Yi's computer desk, along with a pencil placed next to it. A 300-word critical essay in Dutch. "Huh? What?" Tang Yi was stunned. "This is your Dutch homework, right? Is it difficult for you?" Ten Hag turned to look at Tang Yi, who was sitting on the bed, and the latter looked surprised. "How did you know about my homework?" "That's not the point. Just tell me if this assignment is difficult for you." Tang Yi shrugged and said honestly, "A 300-word essay isn't difficult, but our teacher said we need to find a topic and write critically, which is very difficult." Tang Yi sometimes felt speechless. He was studying at the youth training school in Utrecht, so his homework should have been easier than that of other Dutch high school students. As a result, that teacher has recently gone crazy and has been assigning Tang Yi homework that is beyond his ability. "That's difficult." Tang He murmured to himself, put down his notebook, and slowly walked up to Tang Yi. "Bend down. Tang, would you like to be exempt from homework?" Chapter 20 Lone Type Midfielder. This. Tang Yi was completely stunned by Tang He's question. "Not doing homework? Is this really okay?" "Of course, I asked Ms. Valerie, and she said you've had a lot of homework lately. I know you're an athlete, you have to train, and it's perfectly normal not to finish your homework." Tan Ha sat down next to Tang Yi. Tang Ye's eyes lit up. "No homework? Is there really such a good thing? We must take it. So I'm not going to do my homework anymore." "Oh, don't rush." Tan Hatch held up his index finger and shook it in front of Tang Yi. "If you just don't do your homework, Ms. Valerie won't agree, but I have a way." The Dutchman smiled and said, "If you practice football extra every night for 2 hours every day, you'll have an excuse not to do your homework. How about it?" Tang Yi rolled his eyes at Tang He. "Damn it. It's obvious without analysis that Ten Hak is the culprit behind Tang Ye's sudden increase in homework." "No, I won't agree." Tang Yi suddenly jumped out of bed. "That despicable Ten Hatch, he will absolutely not obey." "Don't rush, Tang, please sit down." Ten Hatch pulled Tang Yi back down, and after Tang Yi sat down on the bed again, Ten Hatch continued, "If you don't finish your homework, Ms. Valerie will contact your parents. I heard your mother is very concerned about your grades. If you can't even finish your homework, she'll be sad, won't she? Am I right?" This. Tang Yi gritted his teeth, sweat pouring down his forehead. 2 hours a week. 2 hours a day. But I only have 2 homework assignments a week, that's not fair. 2 hours of physical training must be easier for you than doing these assignments, right? I think this is already very fair. Ten Hatch has his own set of theories. Youth training players generally dislike doing homework, and Tang Yi is no exception. Sitting in a chair staring blankly at recycled paper is torture for young players. This way, you can rest for 2 days a week, and you won't have to train extra for 2 days. Does that sound good? Actually, 2 hours isn't much. Michel van der Gatch will lead the training. Damn it. Tang Yi covered his head with both hands. He did not refuse Ten Hatch's request. Because he couldn't refuse. "Okay, you can go out now. Michel is already waiting for you outside on the first team's field." Ten Ha walked to the door, opened it for Tang Yi, and then gestured for him to enter. At 8 p.m., Tang Yi arrived at the first team's weight room. Van der Gatch leaned against the treadmill, smiling as he watched Tang Yi walk toward him. The lazy child paid the price for not doing his homework. "Give yourself a 3 kilometers jog to warm up, and I'll give you some tasks later." Knock knock. Van der Gatch tapped the treadmill screen twice, gesturing for Tang Yi to get on, while he himself sat on a chair nearby reading a newspaper. "Remember to call me when you're done running." Tang Yi didn't speak to Van der Gar, but went straight to the treadmill and set the speed to 6 kilometers per hour. This speed is not too slow for a warm-up, but it won't make Tang Yi feel tired either, so it's pretty perfect. Clap clap clap. Clap clap clap. Clap clap clap. The rubber soles of his shoes made a sound as they hit the track. Tang Yi felt a little bored, so he turned his attention to his system. After scoring a goal in the afternoon match, Tang Yi successfully unlocked the shop section. He was so eager to celebrate after the match that he didn't even have time to study this thing. When I opened the store, there were only 3 items on the screen. Vardy's Red Bull, your stamina is increased by 10% for the next 120 minutes. Grealish's Draft Beer, reduces your perception of fatigue, but impairs your cognitive abilities. Tang Yi knew Vardy, but did not know Grealish. Of course, the player's name is not important, what matters is the price and the effect of the product. Red Bull and draft beer each cost 5 comeback points. Considering that Tang Ye's daily task rewards only 3 comeback points, these 3 items are quite expensive for Tang Ye. Besides Red Bull and draft beer, Tang Ye also discovered something else. Spend 10 comeback points to obtain additional items. Looking at his remaining comeback points, Tang Ye had 25 left, so he decided to give it a try. You have used 10 comeback points, item shop capacity increased by 1. The next second, Tang Ye saw something green, and there were quite a lot of words on it. Cristiano Ronaldo's broccoli, double the benefits of ball training over the next 12 hours. This broccoli is much more effective than Red Bull and draft beer, and it's also more expensive. A total of 10 comeback points, which means that Tang Ye would need to complete 4 days of daily tasks or score 1 goal in the Dutch Eredivisie to afford a head of broccoli. These prices are outrageous. Despite the exaggerated prices, Tang Ye wasn't particularly interested in the broccoli. What he was most interested in was the Grealish draft beer. Reduce the perception of fatigue. This thing is absolutely amazing. Tang Ye only regretted that he hadn't unlocked this shop section sooner. If only he had this draft beer during last week's endurance training. The only drawback is that draft beer can impair Tang Ye's thinking ability, so it can't be used during competitions. Tang Ye was going to buy a draft beer to test the waters first, but then he thought that today should be his strength training day. Reducing the perception of fatigue during strength training is somewhat dangerous, so Tang Ye abandoned his idea. Continuing to observe the store interface, Tang Ye discovered that the store was divided into 2 parts. Items like Red Bull, draft beer, and broccoli are all considered props and are categorized under the prop shop. In addition to the item shop, Tang Ye also has a template shop. Hazard's rhythm changes. Price, 15,000 comeback points. Mbappe's sudden stop and acceleration. Price, 21,000 comeback points. The price has reached 4 or 5 figures. If broccoli was a luxury for Tang Ye before, then these templates are something Tang Ye can't afford at all. The most incredible thing is that, in addition to these skill templates, the store also sells some player growth templates. Unlike skill templates, if Tang Ye obtains a star player's growth template, he will develop in the direction of that star player until he eventually possesses all of that star player's abilities. Of course, these kinds of things usually have a lot of zeros at the end. Kevin De Bruyne's growth template, anti-cuckold version. Price, 100,000 comeback points. Paul Pogba's growth template. Price, 100,000 comeback points. Sergio Rodríguez's development template. Price, 100,000 comeback points. 100,000. Tang Ye burst out laughing after counting the numbers. This system is idiot. What's the point of making something at this price? How could he possibly afford it? But Tang Ye was thinking when he noticed that the button for the word "buy" was lit up. Etc. Tang Ye had an idea, so he clicked the "buy" button below the De Bruyne growth template. Please select a payment method. 1. Account balance, insufficient balance. 2. Alipay. Does such a thing really exist? Give it a try. You purchased the Kevin De Bruyne growth template, anti-cuckold version, using Alipay. The system's voice rang out, and Tang Yerin went numb. Use 100,000 yuan of Huabei credit limit, repayment period limited to 1 month, latest repayment date, October 13, 2036 Amsterdam time.